It is fucking crazy.
It's interesting.
It's a lot of people that just get educated from YouTube. The Guardian actually had an article about it. I sent it to Eddie, and Eddie laughed at me.
See, I think Eddie's kind of rational in a lot of ways. Because I've had conspiracy talks with him.
About what?
About, the one that we had was insane a little.
Oh, he's got
about how
some
the
insane ones.
government was attacking Malibu.
Well, he's the one that
Him
came
and
up to
Tripoli
me
and
about
Sam were talking about that they were using direct energy weapons, and I was like, I don't know if this is
attacking Malibu with
That's
what?
I was like, why would they attack Malibu? Well, the fires.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they're rich. Why would they attack Malibu? It's the rich people.
The fire started near my fucking house. They didn't even
Right.
start in Malibu. They
Right.
flew through the air. I was one of the first evacuated.
Right.
These
No.
fucking theories are so stupid. It's dry as shit.
Yeah.
A fire hits and
Right.
the winds are going crazy. Oh, did they make the wind? They made the
Well,
wind.
I'm sure
They've
you-
always made the wind. The wind has always been the CIA.
They've always made the wind.
Yeah, it's just, and there's no rest. There's no peace.
I know.
There's no living in the moment. It's
Do you
like
think
a
you get to a
constant
certain
distraction.
point, you go, I just don't even want to know. Because there's horrible things going on. There's horrible things going on.
Okay. What do you think is like the worst shit going on right now?
Human trafficking is very
Yes.
bad. Horrible.
Horrible. And
Multi-billion-dollar industry. That's not Subway sandwich artists are paying for that.
real. Right.
Rich people, some of them are involved in some very bad things,
Yes.
and their tracks are they're covering their own tracks.
Yeah, like that Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah,
guy,
all of that
and
stuff, dude.
That Clinton visited him. And he's got an island somewhere.
Anyone with an island and hanging out with Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
If you have an island and you're hanging out with Bill Clinton,
Hey,
there's a problem.
where's the Matas?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a crazy. All of that stuff is very disturbing. And he got a sweetheart deal because he wouldn't inform on anyone that was on his plane. And now the Justice Department's looking at that again. It'll probably be fine. They'll probably just let him.
With a guy like that, like, what? I mean, how much does he know? How does a guy
knows
like that
everything.
stay alive?
Because it's good. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to talk.
I wouldn't trust him.
If
I was on that plane.
I think that's the other thing about the aversion to conspiracies is you go like, people would talk.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is people wouldn't talk. If you were from a prominent family, if it had been like a religion to stay silent, if you had had CIA training, these people don't talk. And we know that there have been plots that have gone unknown for a very long time, including the coup in Iran.
Sure.
So a guy like Jeffrey Epstein is so involved, so deep, he knows he'll get killed. He won't say anything.
Yeah.
He's not going to say anything.
Plus, he doesn't want to go to jail.
He doesn't want to go to jail, and he doesn't want to say anything.
Admit all the things that he did.
Yeah.
So weird. The child thing is the creepiest of all.
It's gross, and
It's the
unfortunately,
scariest.
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So people you could talk about. There's the conspiratorial angles, the bullshit, but then there's the real fact.
Well, there's Sandusky.
Sandusky, Catholic Church.
100%.
That's the other
Catholic
problem.
Church,
The people that are
100%.
in love with conspiracies never care about private prisons
Right.
or the Catholic Church. And I'm like,
Right.
guys, this is not even debatable.
Right.
We're not even debating.
Right.
Private prisons are ruined. Kids are being sold into slavery.
Right. How about
Horrible.
that judge in Pennsylvania?
It's
that was
crazy.
taking underage kids and just giving them ridiculous sentences for shit
That's crazy.
in exchange for money.
That's not right.
And now he's in jail. Yeah, it's there's some darkness in the world. It's
Yeah.
undeniable. And when something like Sandusky, when that Penn State thing comes out and you're like, wait a minute, how long was this going on for?
Yeah, and how many people
Everybody
knew? Everyone knew. How does everyone know?
Yeah.
It's
and that
crazy.
Paterno he died quick.
But this is what of course. But this
he must
was
have been just destroyed.
But this is what I mean about people where it's like YouTube's gonna like censor conspiracy theory type stuff. I'm like, all of those things would have been called conspiracy theories at one point.
Yes.
Catholic Church,
Right.
Sandusky,
Yeah.
Abu Ghraib. They said it was a few
Sure.
bad apples. It was a labyrinth of torture prisons. It was a program designed by the Pentagon, the CIA. It's crazy.
What is the YouTube gonna do? They're gonna censor.
Well, they're gonna stop
conspiracy?
recommending. I think they're gonna stop recommending conspiracy videos, from what I've heard.
But I was reading that thing that you were telling me about, Jamie. This whole like porn or child porn or pedophile network.
They're setting up a what is this? A pedophile YouTube? What's going on?
Communication network. They were communicating with each other in YouTube comments.
They responded yesterday and they said that they disabled comments on tens of millions of videos and deleted a lot of accounts that were they were communicating in the comment section of like little kids cheerleading and whatnot. Shit.
Now, were they communicating to try to share child porn, or were they communicating to molest
I
kids?
don't know in the way pedophiles communicate in their network, but
Well,
Oh, I
Jamie,
read the article
Jamie,
said
quite
they were
frankly,
communicating.
I'd like you to do a little bit more
Yeah,
work.
pull up an
Well,
article.
Do some
on
due
it.
diligence on the pedophile.
I want
That's
you
like
to
when
go
you have-
under the dark
I
web.
need a burner computer for that.
Download Tor and let's get moving
Throw
because
it
we
away.
got to figure shit out.
Yeah, you got to get a VPN. Are there?
Well, that's like the FBI will take over a child porn site on Tor and then run it for a year, like
Yeah,
on the dark
what?
web. What is that?
What?
What's going on?
Imagine what they see too. You
It's
can't
but it's got
unsee
that's
that
a
shit.
that's a problem.
It is a problem because
That's not
you're
good.
you're causing.
That happened in that R. Kelly case. There's a video of him doing something with an underage girl, and like I think some people at CNN, it's like we've seen it, and that's led to him going. And it's like, well, what did you watch? And is that legal? It probably is legal because you're watching it under the guise of finding out if it's
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah, that kind of shit is real. And the fact that there's these networks of people
Oh, yeah.
that are trying to, cultivate these experiences.
Yeah, it's
and-
crazy, man. But if you're a rich person, you have that sick predilection.
Ugh.
You're gonna find a
Here's
way
just
to,
a brief thing of what they were doing, like a for example.
Okay, they posted remarks that praised the girls, asked whether they were wearing underwear or simply carried a string of sexually suggestive emojis. About 2 years ago, hundreds of companies pulled money from YouTube over concerns about ads showing up next to problematic content from terror or hate groups and videos that seem to endanger or exploit children. I think, we've talked about this before with YouTube, with the issues that we've had with them. They have way too much content and way too few people. There's no way they can watch all of it. And when shit like this, where people are doing things in the comments, it's almost impossible to check.
yeah.
I mean, it's just, 'cause the YouTube comments are one of the rare free range sort of like unchecked message boards in the world.
I'm sure I'll find out later.
Fucking don't read it. Don't read it, bro.
Who's this fat fuck?
Don't.
He's not even a black belt.
Read
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Why is he here? Who is that?
Don't read it.
Yeah.
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 I wonder if there's ever going to be a time where that is impossible, where like these child pedophile rings,
Yeah.
that they can figure out a way to snuff all that out.
I'm
It's harder now than ever before, I'm imagine.
It's very tough, and it's tough, I think, because so few people want to believe that it's a problem in the way that it is.
right,
Because there's good people in the world that don't think these things are issues.
right.
So I think there's the political will isn't there because people aren't really, they don't understand that it's, and then the people that are doing these things are very wealthy, powerful people, and they have a lot of control and they can kind of cover their tracks. If
They're
you're
all wealthy?
not all,
wealthy and
if you're a
powerful?
poor pedophile, you're not going to a ring.
What are you doing?
You're snatching some kid.
Ugh.
I know it's bad, but if you're a rich pedophile, it's a nicer experience. It's like you go on vacation versus me going on vacation. You go on vacation, it's a nice experience. I go on vacation, it's fine.
Sandals in the Bahamas.
Not even
No?
Sandals.
Where you going?
a cabin or something.
With a fork.
Episode 12 with Ben Askren, Joe dives into one of the wildest conspiracy debates ever. Did we really land on the moon, or was some of the footage faked?
There's no video evidence of what hit the Pentagon.
Well, there's a video of something. I know there was one hidden camera thing or security camera video that was released, but what they did have is all sorts of pieces of aircraft all over the fucking lawn.
Yeah.
I mean, in a blown up building and a plane that's missing and all the people dead. Like, I'm going to guess it was a plane.
Yeah.
I think people look for conspiracies and everything because it's exciting.
Well,
There's
I
something
mean,
stimulating about it.
there is, but then obviously, I know that you don't believe that everything we're told is the truth right
No.
away, right? I mean, if
Not
we
at
go
all.
to something like Gulf of Tonkin incident,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Perfect.
that's been
example.
proven to be false, or the fact like the banana republics, right? Where
Mhm.
Dole asked us to go take out one of their dictators because they were going to nationalize all the banana plants in that country.
Yeah.
I mean, those things have been now proven to be
Yes.
totally factual, that the United States government went and did that stuff. So the fact that, and in 1960s or 70s, those things were reported the opposite, right?
Right.
So we can't obviously take everything that we've been reported as truth.
Well, there's definitely been conspiracies that have been put together and executed. And these conspiracies have greatly affected the American people. The Gulf of Tonkin's a perfect example.
Mhm.
Another one that they were planning on was Operation Northwoods.
Yes.
Operation Northwoods was one that they were planning on blowing up a drone jetliner, blaming it on the Cubans. They were going to arm Cuban friendlies and have them attack Guantanamo Bay. They were going
Yeah.
to sacrifice American troops and American lives. And they were going to do this in order to get people to be excited about a war with Cuba.
Yeah.
This is a real thing that was signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It was released by the Freedom of Information Act, and it was vetoed by Kennedy. So we know that there were people, at least in 1962, that were planning on shit like this.
Yeah,
So that's a real thing. And the idea that that just went away and no one does that anymore,
it's crazy.
I don't believe that. I think there's most certainly evil people in all fucking sectors of life.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's good to have an open mind, but there's also a lot of fucking conspiracy loons that look for.
And they get consumed with
Yeah.
it. That's the
Yeah.
issue. Is they get consumed with nothing that I've been told is true.
Yeah.
Which is obviously, like I said, the one far end of the spectrum. And anyone who's that end is crazy also.
Yeah. There's people out there that think the satellites are fake, and they think that
The moon landing
dinosaurs are
one
not real.
and that the Earth is flat is the ones where I just shake my head like,
The moon landing one's my favorite.
really?
I got balls deep in that for years. I was completely.
So you think they did
convinced.
not go to the moon?
No, I don't think that anymore.
Okay.
But you know what I think now? I think I don't know.
Okay.
But I do think that it is one of the more fascinating conspiracies that between 1969 and 1972, they had seven attempts, 6 of them successful.
Uh-huh.
But they went to the Apollo 13 was the one that they didn't apparently make it,
Uh-huh.
and they had to come back. But that was the only time in history that a human being has been more than 400 miles above the Earth's surface. All the space station missions, all the space shuttle missions,
Mhm.
all that stuff is
Within orbit.
Yeah, it's low. It's all
Mhm.
very low. They went 260,000 miles out and back into deep space, but they had never even flown a chicken out there and see if it comes back alive. Like we really didn't.
Really?
Yeah, no.
I'm not into the space travel one. So
I mean, they did a couple of flybys, like
Yeah.
that went around the moon,
Uh-huh.
early before they landed on the moon.
yeah.
But other than that, I mean, without unmanned drones like what we have on Mars and things like that,
Mhm.
we've never really sent a living thing out through the magnetosphere, through the Van Allen radiation belts, into deep space. Have it, I mean, there's all these possibilities of solar flares and anything that would have
Yeah.
killed them instantly. And they just did that. And then we haven't been able to do that since 1972.
That's the one where
Yeah.
I've never looked into the moon landing. I think it's kind of goofy, right?
Well, it's
But-
weird. It's a weird one.
Why have we never gone back? It's been 50. Surely our
Well-
technology is far superior to what it was in 1969, right?
The technology is far superior, except that they're not using that technology for manned space travel into deep space like that, and to
Yeah.
go into the moon. So it's like our technology in all these other areas is superior, but they haven't really worked towards that because they haven't been funded. So the big
got it.
issue is, in many ways, it's money. Right? It's there's how much money is there in going to the moon, and it's also very risky to send humans out there. I mean, we're talking about manned missions to Mars now, which may or may not take place by 2030. They're talking about doing that, but it's way cheaper and safer to send robots out there. Like,
Yeah.
why risk human lives? It's
Well,
like
they
it's
put
very
robots
retro.
on the moon, right?
Mhm.
And they put robots on Mars.
Yeah, yeah.
The rovers.
The
and stuff.
rovers on Mars are that's the most interesting because they're sending these really high resolution photos of the surface of Mars, and they're running tests and checking for biological life. It's really, really interesting stuff. But between 69 and 72, when they did all this stuff, I mean, there's the technology back then was nothing compared to what they have now in terms of calculations and computers, and
Yeah.
it's also there's unquestionably some stuff that whether it was images or video that was faked. And I think,
Really?
yeah,
So like I said, I never looked into this at all.
Gemini 15 is the big one because there's a photo of Michael Collins. It shows him in deep space, and they use it as a press release saying that he was on a spacewalk when it was really an image of him from a test run where there was all this stuff in the background, and he was on this harness, and they just blacked out the background and tried to sell it as him being in space. See if you can find that. Michael Collins, what do you?
I was looking up how much it costs to send somebody to space.
Oh, it's insane.
$70
Well, now
million
that there's these
70 million
for a NASA astronaut to fly on a Russian shuttle.
well, there's
Call
all
Jeff
these
Bezos.
private guys trying to
Yeah.
sell tickets to places. I mean,
Yeah,
Bezos is trying to do it. Musk, obviously.
but that's
I think-
space. That's just low Earth orbit. That's still inside 400 miles.
None of them are trying to go anywhere.
No, well, they might in the future.
Well, Branson.
Well, that's all same thing. It's all low
Okay.
Earth orbit. But
Oh.
but they are talking about future visits to the moon and to Mars. But a lot of times I feel like when they say that, George Bush Sr. said that they were going to go to the moon, back to the moon again.
Uh-huh.
In like fucking, when was that? 1990 or whatever the hell that was. People have always said we're going to go back to the moon, but we haven't been back since 1972. Does that mean that we never went? No. But then it gets weird when you find out that Werner von Braun was a fucking Nazi.
Who?
Werner von Braun, the guy he was the head of NASA. He was the guy who organized the moon landings, and he was the head rocket guy. That guy was a legit Nazi. Like, he was wanted by the Simon Wiesenthal Center said that if he was alive today, they would prosecute him for crimes against humanity. They would hang the 5 slowest workers every day in front of his Berlin rocket factory. Oh yeah. No, 100%.
Jesus.
I mean, that's what they did. What they did was they took this thing, it was called Operation Paperclip, where when we won World War II, they took all the top Nazi scientists and they secretly brought them over to America. And they did it on the down low so that no one would think like, hey, why do we have a guy named Werner von Braun running the American space program? Well, it's because the Nazi scientists were insanely advanced. So the question is like, well, were they really Nazis, or were they scientists that were under the boot of the Nazi administration? I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not around that.
Yeah.
But I do know that these are the people that were the head engineers and the people that designed it. Werner von Braun himself was saying how impossible it was just years before they did the moon landing and years before Operation Paperclip, that it was impossible to go to the moon, or how ridiculously impossible it would be. But technology advanced from then to when 1969 happened to when they did it. I stopped saying that we never went to the moon because I really don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that's a big part of understanding these conspiracies.
It's hard.
You have to really know, how much do I know about rocketry? How much do I know about aerospace? Zero.
Yeah.
So if I'm running around saying I don't believe people went to the moon, what is it based on? It's based mostly on ignorance, speculation, and the excited feeling that comes with trying to uncover a conspiracy.
Sure, but I think you do have to be a little bit discerning on what you hear, but it is frustrating, and that's where a lot of these conspiracy guys they think they know more than they do, because you have to come to the realization that you're probably never going to know the real answer with a lot of these things. Very likely. I mean, some of them come out many years later. We're talking about like Gulf of Tonkin, right? Or Operation Northwoods. Many years later, it comes out. But, there's a good likelihood that I'll never know the truth on stuff I read a lot about.
I think with the moon landing, it's way more likely that we went to the moon, but that some of the footage is fake. And I think they probably did that because it's incredibly difficult to film things on the moon. And I think they filmed some stuff in test runs and then tried to pass that stuff off.
iPhone.
They didn't have it back then. They had these cameras that they had in the center of their chest. I think
Or they would have been taking a selfie on the moon.
Yeah, the
Snapchatting it.
You'd have to take your suit off and then you would die. They didn't have a camera that you could put in front of you.
Well, maybe they have one of those clicker buttons they could have with their big gloves on, and they put the thing out and then they click it, and then boom, Snapchat, Wi-Fi on the moon.
Well, that's what they said. Well, it was that they did it remotely. That's how they captured the video of the lunar module leaving the surface of the moon and panned up and watched it go. That they did all that remotely. It's all. There's some squirrely footage. You ever see the video of them jumping around? It looks like they're on trampolines.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like they're just bouncing straight up in the air. You're like, well, what the fuck is that? How come the physics are different in different flights? Like in some of the flights, like Apollo 11, they're barely getting off the ground.
Is it one where they're walking, but they're kind of going like that?
Well, there's ones like that, and then there's also ones where they fall down. It looks like they're getting yanked up by wires. I think it's entirely possible that some of that stuff was faked. But I think it's way more likely that they actually went to the moon than they didn't. But it's way sexier to think that they faked the whole thing. It's fun. It's fun to think they faked the whole thing, that everybody was quiet about it. And, Neil Armstrong gave this real cryptic speech on the 25th anniversary of the moon mission saying that, there are hidden truths what is the exact quote that he said? Some of the great truths that could be revealed, removing some of truth's hidden layers. Like,
what if he was giving it away?
It was real cryptic. It was like, what do you? Let's see if you can find it.
I got the video.
Yeah, play the video.
He might have been giving it away.
Well, it seemed if you were a conspiracy theory, this would give you a rock hard boner. Because listen to this.
Neil Armstrong made a rare public appearance. Next generation of taxpayers.
We have no. Just play the whole thing so you don't confuse everybody.
In 1994, Neil Armstrong made a rare public appearance and held back tears as he spoke these brief cryptic remarks before the next generation of taxpayers as they toured the White House.
Today we have with us a group of students among America's best. To you, we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
What the fuck does that mean?
I
mean, what? You're supposed to say, "Yo, I went to the moon, bitch." You're not supposed to say breakthroughs. That
maybe he's giving it away.
Truth protective layers. Like, I don't even understand what that means. The press conference is one of the more fascinating things. If you watch the press conference, again, I was balls deep in this stuff for years. The press conference from 1969 when they returned from the moon is one of the most cryptic, weird things you'll ever see. These guys look like they just stole something and they're being questioned. I've never seen a video where people look like they're more full of shit than that video of the press conference from 1969. It's weird, man. It's weird. They're like fidgety and looking nervous, like they're getting away
so
with something.
So they didn't do it then?
They might have done it. They might have been forced to say some things that they didn't want to say, and that could be part of it.
Absolutely.
You know, they could have done it. But there's a lot of weirdness with the moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you wanted to have like a conspiracy that to wrap your head around that's exciting, it's one of the best ones.
Really, but who benefits from it?
The United States government did because it showed military superiority over the Russians, so we were able to do that.
Sure.
It also, it was the Nixon administration. People were just flat out full of shit.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they were just lying to people left and right back then.
That's government, though.
Yeah, but even more so then because it was unchecked. There was no media.
Social media.
Yeah, there's nothing that would expose them for this. And this stuff, they would air it on TV once in 1969. You never see it again unless you watch it on film. There's no YouTube where you can go back and watch the astronauts on trampolines video. That's my favorite one. You watch that and you go, what in the fuck is happening there? These guys are bouncing up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are they doing that? Like, they never did. If you watch Apollo 11 when they were moving around on the surface of the moon, it's just like they're moving in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to whatever it was, like Apollo 14 or 15 when they were doing the trampoline thing. They're just fucking flying through the air. Have you seen it?
I've not. I know. I've never gotten to the moon thing. The flat Earth thing is ridiculous.
Watch this. And like their feet are hidden. Look at this. Watch these guys bounce up in the air. It's like they're on some sort of wire, like they're being yanked up into the air.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what the fuck are they doing? And they're playing, like falling down. And it's very weird. But it could have been that they were really on the moon and these guys were fucking cowboys and yahoos and they wanted to bounce around.
Oh, you were posting those videos.
Yeah, I posted those videos back in the day. Yeah, I had a debate on Penn Jillette's radio show with a guy who's an astronomer, and he wasn't willing to admit a lot of stuff that was a fact, like the fact that Wernher von Braun was a Nazi.
Well, why does the flag look so still there?
Well, the flag had a wire, first of all, on the top of it that stiffened it up to make it. But there's videos of the flag moving in a non-existent breeze, which is weird too. And they try to make some logical explanations for why the flag could be moving in a vacuum, and some of it makes sense, but some of it doesn't. Like the wires one is weird. If you watch them fall down, like go to that one right there, Jamie. If you watch, like sometimes they're falling down, and when they're falling down, it looks like they get yanked back up. But I think it might not have been real footage. What they might have done is use some test footage, like right there, Jamie, right there. Let it go. Like homeboy falls down and then it looks like he gets yanked back up. Look at this. Whoops.
Oh, he did not. That's not him standing up.
Yeah, what is this?
That's not him standing up. You can't stand up like that.
Right, but you're on the moon. Okay, so you realize you're in 1/6 Earth's gravity.
But there was nothing to make him go like this.
Exactly.
Right? You can't get up without.
Exactly.
Now we go back to MMA because that's what these freaking folk style wrestling's the next generation of MMA. Because you have to turn to your base to get up. You can't look at. There's nothing on the ground. How's he going to get the momentum?
He's getting yanked up. Like he would have super abs. He would have to be like a
no,
break
you
dancer.
can't because. Okay, maybe a break dancer. Maybe a break dancer. But you can't get up without putting a base down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really weird. I never
very
saw
weird.
it.
Watch it again. Watch him get yanked up.
Yeah, he's got no base.
Yeah.
It almost seems like
No.
that little piece is played in reverse.
Well,
Yeah,
it almost
but-
does. Yeah. It almost does.
Yeah, that he couldn't stand up like that.
But the thing falls down right afterwards, so it wasn't in reverse.
I know.
I think it's entirely possible that some of the footage was bullshit, but it doesn't mean that they didn't go to the moon.
yeah,
It means that overzealous people in
and he only
the
had one
press,
foot on the ground there too.
right? Yeah, oh, that's true. Look at this. Watch.
So he stood up
Woo,
like
look at that. It's ridiculous.
he can't do it.
What his right foot's down, his left foot's up, and he just goes straight up in the air. It
No,
is
that's
crazy.
That's fake.
But I've never been in 1/6 Earth gravity in either of you.
No,
so maybe it's
Joe,
easier
it's
to
fake,
do.
dude. Can't stand up like
You
that.
think that's
You-
fake?
that
Ben
video.
Askren says we never went to the moon.
I
It's
said
on the
that. I
Bleacher
said that
Report.
video is fake.
No, the video is real. That's from television.
Okay, the video. That guy standing up like that, he got help somehow.
Yeah, well,
you can't stand up like that.
Very well, he could have been on wires. It could have
Yes.
been that they were using that to simulate what it would be like, because they definitely filmed a lot of simulations. They did a lot of that because they wanted to prepare the astronauts. It's entirely possible that some of those simulations got passed off as being an actual video of them on the moon.
Sure.
Yeah,
Fair
or,
enough.
Or they faked the whole fucking thing. I wasn't there.
So,
I don't know.
so
I was only-
Episode number 1284. Graham Hancock reveals why he believes human history is far older and stranger than we think, with lost civilizations, cataclysms, and pyramid mysteries.
Well, I think people can develop these patterns of behavior that are destructive with anything, whether it's with alcohol or cannabis or
Yes.
sex or anything. People get in ruts.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that the cannabis is bad. It means that you are on a bad mental path.
Yes. Exactly.
And
We-
I mean, I'm not encouraging it for everybody because
No.
some people it genuinely biologically doesn't jive with them.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
the fundamental thing is we as adult human beings need to take responsibility for our own lives and our own decisions.
Yeah.
And we need not hand that responsibility over to governmental institutions, especially when it concerns something as intimate and personal as our consciousness. And my view is the ancient world had the right attitude to this kind of thing,
Yeah.
and the modern world does not, and that we can sit down and learn a lot from the ancient world. A lot of people ask me, Hancock, you've been arguing that there's been a lost civilization in the human story, but what sort of civilization do you think it was? Well, one of the things I think is it was a civilization that used psychedelics. I think it was a civilization that emerged from shamanism, but did not stay at the hunter-gatherer stage, but that took the essence of shamanism and integrated it into a very different kind of civilization from our own, which pursued things in different ways. A lot of archaeologists have said to me, but we don't find any plastic bottles from the Ice Age. That means there was no advanced civilization during the Ice Age. Well, hang on. Maybe an advanced civilization might have decided never to get involved in plastic in the first place. Maybe there would have been a clear choice not to make plastic. Maybe they did things in completely different ways. Maybe they cultivated powers of the human mind that we dismiss and regard as completely unimportant. Woo-woo.
Yeah, this is the thoughts about Egypt, correct?
It's about Egypt
Yeah.
and about other things. I mean, the specific example I give is above the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid are 5 further chambers. And these chambers are roofed and floored with granite beams that weigh about 70 tons each. And there are hundreds of them. And these 70-ton granite beams, which to put in context, a 70-ton beam is equivalent in weight to 35 large SUVs. These 70-ton granite beams have been elevated to a height of more than 350 feet above the ground and carefully and precisely placed in position. It is very hard for archaeologists to explain how that was done using purely leverage and mechanical advantage. You can say, perhaps they built a ramp and hauled the stones up the ramp. But then you have to confront basic laws of physics. You can't haul a stone weighing tens of tons up a slope that exceeds 10 degrees. Then you start doing the calculation. How long a ramp do I need with a 10-degree slope to get to 350 feet above the ground? And the answer is you need a fucking long ramp, which should still be there,
Yeah.
because it couldn't have been a sand ramp. It would have collapsed under the weight of those stones. It had to be as massive as the pyramid itself. So this begins to seem like an absurd idea, the idea that is foisted on us by archaeology. Maybe the idea that they regard as absurd, namely that psychic powers were cultivated by ancient civilizations, that they could use powers of the human mind that we have allowed to lapse. Maybe that idea deserves further consideration. We have gone down a path of leverage and mechanical advantage. We're used to relying on machines, but we hear anecdotal reports of people who have telekinetic powers, who can move things with their minds, of people who have telepathic powers. And our automatic reaction is to just dismiss all of that because science says it's impossible, because science regards consciousness as local to the brain and doesn't see how it can exert itself outside of that. But maybe we should open up to those possibilities, that we're dealing with a very different kind of culture that used techniques that we have allowed to lapse. And maybe we could wake those techniques up again. Maybe the ability of human beings to do almost superhuman things is resident within all of us, but sleeping.
Well, it's pure speculation that they use some sort of a telekinetic power, but it's
Pure
absolute,
speculation.
But it's absolute that they did something that we don't understand. If you think about the distance between us and the construction, just the modern accepted construction dates of the Great Pyramid, it's more than 5,000 years ago, or close to 5,000 years ago.
Great Pyramid is
2,000.
supposed to be about 4,500 years old. Yeah,
That's really old.
it's incredibly
It's like-
old. Yeah,
To think that someone back then could do something that would perplex us today with modern machinery.
Yeah.
And that somehow or another they figured this out. It's almost like what they had done was leave behind something that was so stupendous, so monstrously impressive that it would transcend time.
Yeah.
And that you would have to look at it even thousands and thousands of years later and say, hey, like this defies conventional explanation. This is not a simple, and I've seen some of the conventional explanations of the construction of the pyramid, and they conveniently neglect those chambers above the king's chamber.
They do.
They conveniently neglect a lot of those massive stones.
Yeah.
And it's because it's one of those things you just go, oh, I don't know. What is this, Jamie?
There are the chambers
is,
above the king's chambers, and each one of those floors consists of a row of 70-ton granite blocks that have been raised 350 feet above the ground. And not only that, but brought from Aswan in the south of Egypt, 500 kilometers south of the Great Pyramid. So
if there's any time in history where you could go in a time machine and go back and observe, would that be the time?
I am just completely fascinated by the Ice Age at the moment.
If you had one shot to go back and see what it was like in some place, you wouldn't go to the construction of the Great Pyramids?
I think right now where I'd go is 12,800 years ago in the beginning of the Younger Dryas.
Just to see.
Because I think that's where the whole human story changes. I think that's where we change tracks from one path to another path. And following those cataclysmic events of the Younger Dryas between 12,800 and 11,600 years ago, following those, the signs of civilization that we see emerging are not the beginnings of civilization. They're a restarting of civilization that had existed before the cataclysm. And for that reason, I would like to be present during that cataclysmic event, if only to satisfy myself that it was indeed a comet. You see, the one thing there's no dispute about anymore is that the Younger Dryas was a cataclysm. They can't argue about that. The megafauna that die off, the disruption of human activity that takes place at that time, the huge climate changes. This was a cataclysm by any standards. Where the argument still goes on is what caused the cataclysm. I vote strongly for comet, multiple fragments of a comet hitting the North American ice cap and hitting Greenland as well. But there are other researchers in the field, like my colleague Robert Schoch, who thinks that the sun is more involved. This is healthy. This is very, very healthy, that we should be approaching this problem from many different perspectives and trying to figure out what the fuck caused this extraordinary event that occurs at a pivotal moment in the human story. The end of the Stone Age, the beginning of the Mesolithic, the end of the Ice Age, the beginning of the current age of the Earth. And suddenly we see these signs of civilization appearing, and in places like Göbekli Tepe, those signs already include highly sophisticated knowledge. And that's why I feel we really need to investigate the Amazon. There are 3 places in the world which are really lacking in the investigation right now. One of them is the Amazon, 5.5 million square kilometers, very little archaeology done. Another is the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert, tough place to work. I can understand why there's little archaeology done there, but the Sahara Desert was green during the Ice Age. It had a completely different climate regime. We should consider the possibility that missing parts of the human story are there. And then under the continental shelves, because sea level rose 400 feet. These are 3 domains that archaeology has largely not investigated, and it has largely not done so. They say, well, why would we spend the money on marine archaeology? It's much better to spend it on looking for shipwrecks rather than looking for signs of a lost civilization, because we archaeologists know there was no lost civilization. So that's the argument for the resources there, and the same with the Amazon, and the same with the Sahara Desert. Places in the very places in the world that those amongst us who are charged with the responsibility of interpreting the past have not looked at are the very places we...
In episode 1742, Jimmy Corsetti explores the mysterious Richat structure in Africa, a geological wonder that many believe could hide the truth about the lost city of Atlantis, a theory that challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations.
So the Atlantis one. So,
yeah, the Richat structure. I was wondering if you saw those videos, Joe.
Yeah, no, that was a big one that I saw, because I've been fascinated by the concept of Atlantis. You know, ever since I had these conversations with Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock about the Younger Dryas impact theory, and this concept that somewhere in the roughly around 11,000, 12,000 years ago, we were hit by a series of comets. And it's pretty evident that that's a fact. If you do the core samples of the Earth, they find this nuclear glass all over the Earth that exists in that time period. And it seems like something happened that reset civilization. And there's very little evidence of advanced civilizations before that up until recently, up until the last couple of decades. They started uncovering things like Göbekli Tepe and all these other structures that are clearly from more than 12,000 years ago. And they're really complex and really large with enormous stones. And it's sort of caused people to rethink the history of the Earth and the history of human civilizations. And Atlantis has always been the big one. That has been the one that everybody talked about, was this incredibly advanced civilization, and no one can figure out where it is.
Right.
Or if it was real.
I think that Atlantis, because surely that wouldn't have been necessarily the name just through like the change of language, you know, over, let's say 12, 13,000 years ago, which would be the time frame. So like surely there would be several different changes of language, but I think it represented a civilization that was doing great things. They were more global than what many people think would be possible. Atlantis was said to be a kingdom made up of, or an empire, made up of 10 kingdoms. And then there was the lost city of Atlantis, which was the capital, which was said to be made up of concentric circles, 2 of water, 3 of land. And essentially that they were obliterated by a cataclysm as passed down by Plato, although it's worth mentioning that Plato got the story of Atlantis from Solon, who was his uncle separated by 6 generations. But what most people don't realize is that Solon had traveled to Egypt, and so it's the ancient Egyptians is where that tale comes from, which makes it even more bizarre, because I would argue that the most spectacular ancient civilization is the Egyptians. I mean, no disrespect to the Romans.
Hard to deny.
Right? I mean, let me just say, because I want to, on this podcast, encourage people to travel to Egypt. Joe, you got to go.
I really want to. A friend of mine just went, and she got back, and she was telling me incredible things about it. Jamie, will you pull up the photos of these concentric circles? Tell him.
Yeah, the Richat, R-I-C-H-A-T. It's worth mentioning that. Yeah, in the first couple, I just want to say it's Richat. I used to call it Ricot. I was mispronouncing it. But let me ask you this, Joe, real quick. When you saw my video, was that the very first time you had ever seen this thing before?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So many. When I first saw this, I was like, what the fuck is that? By the way, you see that white, all those white blemishes? That's salt. This was under the ocean. And people, let me just say, you mentioned Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock. I love them. And I know for sure that they don't particularly think this is the site for a few different reasons. So let me say there's absolute doubt. Even I am not 100% certain. I'm not even 100% certain Atlantis existed. What I am certain is that humans were doing spectacular things, and a cataclysmic event happened called the Younger Dryas and reset something for somebody.
Is there a natural explanation for
Yes.
this formation?
Yes. So let me say that it is considered to be mysterious. They're not 100% certain of it. However, the consensus is that it was a volcanic dome that had risen and collapsed multiple times, like 100 million years ago, allegedly. I say allegedly, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that. I'm just saying I would like to know where sometimes they get these figures from. Like, explain to me why it was 100 million years ago and not 99 or 98, because here we are talking about how crazy things changed in just the last 12, 13,000 years. So when they throw around these numbers, 1 million years in itself is an incredibly long period of time. But getting back to your question, some had originally thought that maybe it was an impact site from an asteroid, or perhaps, but there's no evidence for it. Like, there's none of the nano.
problem is there's these concentric circles.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything. I mean, obviously, I'm not an archaeologist, but I've never seen anything like this. If you study structures that are like man-made structures, I've never seen anything like this that humans have made. But I've definitely never seen go to that one where your cursor's on, Jamie.
Please.
So is this?
You want to see some? All right.
What is
sorry.
this? What do we?
Okay.
Okay. One step at a time, because we
Yep.
also have to take into consideration that people are just listening. So kind of describe what we're looking at here.
Okay, so what you're looking at is approximately 250 miles inland in the total barren desert of Mauritania, Africa. So the
But
Western
this image
Sahara.
looks like, why is it blue?
That's just showing you
What it used to look like?
No, this is what it looks like right now through I forgot what you call this type of animation, but it's a satellite imagery that they enhanced in order for you to see the difference in elevation and the actual structure to itself.
Okay, so if there was water in this area, you would see it this way, that it would be these concentric circles that are raised above the water, and then the water would be inside of it like that.
Well, just to clarify, this particular image, no, this is not trying to represent water. So that blue is actually picking up on salt. So
salt, all that was salt. But I mean, it used to be underwater, right? It's salt because it was underwater.
That's what I believe, and that's what makes the most sense to me. Others will disagree, and let me tell you why. It is currently 1,300 feet above sea level. It's 250 miles inland. And so some people say this was never under the ocean, at least not for the last tens of millions of years, is what the scientists claim. I argue that since the salt is still there, and not only that, Jamie, if you go to the other images that show you more of the white, the one that you were previously on, the one to the middle to the left, right there. So those areas with the most white blemishes happen to be the areas that are the lowest in elevation, which to me tells me that saltwater had settled there. But not only that, Joe, Atlantis was said to be, like we said, multiple rings of, water and land. However, it was said to open to the sea to the south. And what you're looking at here, the south, so this is oriented north, south, east, and west. What do you see to the south? And especially if we could get another.
This is a very flat area that looks like it's the lowest elevation. Like around it looks like it's higher. I mean, it's hard to tell from this image.
Jamie, will you Google map it? Just type in, even if you went to Mauritania, so you could see this from space. Astronauts use it as a locator, and they weren't really familiar or aware of it until the Gemini missions in the early 1960s. So if you go to, if you just go to Google Earth, you'll be able to find this quite quickly. It stands out. And it's why they call it the Eye of Africa or the Eye of the Sahara. All right, so just pan out a little bit, and it'll provide us with keep going. All that white is salt. In fact, I had a friend, Josh Sigurdsson, that went out there and tasted that shit off the fucking ground. That's salt. Because a lot of people say this was never under the ocean. And I'm like, all right, you see all that? Even Randall Carlson himself, which let me just say, he, for a few reasons, he favors the Azores. He doesn't think this is likely to be the location for a few reasons.
He favors what?
The Azores, the island chain, which would be it's.
And he thinks that was Atlantis.
He to him, he's partial towards that. But so he analyzed this site, and you see all those striations, how it looks like the ocean, so that's all water erosion, Joe. And if you scroll in, so remember when Randall was on your show and he showed you the Missoula floodplains and all those giant ripples from the huge current that it went through. This is here. So scroll in right there where your cursor is, Jamie. Scroll right in. you're going to see those same water ripples. Keep going, because this what you're looking at here is panned out. This is many miles. Like, keep in mind, this structure is 30 miles
that's
across.
crazy. That looks like the bottom of the ocean. Like if you see where the water breaks on the sand.
Yep. And I have
Wow,
there's
that's
better
crazy.
pictures. And that, just to clarify, that salt, or excuse me, that white is salt, and that is because that's a lot of people don't know, Joe, that the Sahara Desert wasn't a thing until approximately 5,000 years ago. It's only in the last several years, and by the way, I'm quoting MIT research here, that the Sahara goes back and forth from green to desert approximately every 20,000 years. They believe it has something to do with the Earth's tilt, and that's worth discussing. But so this whole area, because people are like, well, that's not Atlantis. I'm like, well, first of all, if the Sahara Desert was a lush green tropical paradise, which had the largest known freshwater lakes ever known to have existed, for example, Mega Lake Chad, which it's like 3 times more water surface than all of the North American Great Lakes combined. It's a big sucker.
Holy shit. How's it not an ocean?
I know.
It's all fresh water?
It was when it existed, and that was at the time when the Sahara was green. And it also had some of the largest known rivers were known to have existed throughout the world. I think they'd still be ranked 10th today or something like that. But so you have to, when you see this, people have to imagine that this area was once green, and that because one of the arguments I make is that the fact that that salt is on top of that dirt, to me, is indicative that the ocean flowed over here far more recently than what people think.
How wide is this structure?
Okay, so
these concentric circles.
I brought a laser. Do you have a laser pointer in here?
No.
That's okay. So the circles themselves is about 14.5 miles across. However, if you go the complete shebang, the whole circle itself is just shy of 30 miles.
So the whole thing is 30 miles, which would be like the size of a city.
Right. Well, keep in mind the outer ring would have been water. So that wouldn't have necessarily counted. But some people will say that this is too big according to Plato's description. And let me just say that I'm like, well, hold on a second. I don't think that we should consider that, because of loss of translation, that we should consider the measurements a key detail. The question becomes, is it big enough to be a city with possibly millions of people? Because the way it was described is that it was a city that was said to be busy all day, all night, rich in trade, with languages spoken from all over. So I'm like, okay, that would imply millions of people. I mean, if a city's busy all day and all night, I think of large metropolitan areas like New York, Chicago, London, whatever. And so if this was indeed an ancient, or a site of an ancient civilization, well, then it would have, I mean, they're obviously not going to have skyscrapers. So it would have to be an area big enough to sustain that many people. And the Richat structure certainly does.
And so the idea would be that this would lead out to the ocean, and that these circles would be where the water is, and then the ridges would be where the structures are, where the houses and the buildings are.
And people will say, well, where is that stuff now? I'm like, well, look at it. It got obliterated.
Those people should shut the fuck up.
well,
but if you
let's
just look at what's going on with the sand and those clear water erosion marks on the sand, but that also could be wind, right? Couldn't the way that the ripples in that sand, couldn't that be wind?
Both. However, just to clarify,
is that sand that is where the cursor's at right there?
Yes, that's all sand. However, it's also actually go to the right where it says layers. Jamie, can you scroll in right there? Because that will show you the ripples more. So it's a combination of sand and rock.
You mean to the left?
Right there. That's what I'm talking about. Those are giant ripples. And let me just say, I'm quoting Randall Carlson, who I consider to be an expert on geological formations. And so, yeah.
Right, but isn't that what wind-driven sand looks like? If you go to dunes look like that.
Yeah, and undoubtedly.
But hold on, this is sand, right?
Yes. Well, it's a combination, rock and sand in between.
Right, but this is like what it would look like if wind-driven sand and rock underneath it.
Right. So what the implication is that it was blasted by water, and then after that, the wind has done its thing and moved the sand all over it and in between.
So 20,000 years ago, this was all green, lush forest?
No, Joe. 5,000.
5,000?
So
really?
Yes. So I could show you.
When did they think Atlantis was? Is it
11,600 is allegedly when it was destroyed, which mirrors the Younger Dryas climate catastrophe. Because so Plato so this is 600 BC, and Plato said that it happened 9,000 years earlier. So that would be 11,600 years ago, which coincides with the Younger Dryas climate catastrophe, which makes it so compelling to me. That is actual scientific evidence that indicates that Atlantis actually existed, because
Well,
it's very
sort of.
specific.
It is very specific. It's not scientific, right? It's
Well-
like there's no real evidence.
Okay, let me
It's just
rephrase that a civilization.
depiction.
Yes,
Yeah.
let me rephrase. A civilization got fucked.
Yeah.
11,600. So never mind Atlantis. Let me rephrase. A civilization was around. The stories of it were passed down, and they got obliterated. So that's what I'm implying.
Well, we definitely know that the Younger Dryas impact theory is extremely plausible. There are, without a doubt, like many impact points on Earth where they find this tritonite, this nuclear glass, which you can get either from a nuclear explosion or you get it from some sort of a meteor impact, large scale, all over the continent. And we know that all over the planet, I should say, we know that happened. Like, this is like real hardcore geological evidence. So if we know that there were structures before that, which we do now because of Göbekli Tepe and a few other places that they're reasonably sure were pre 11,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago, then we know that something was around back then that was very sophisticated. How sophisticated, we don't know.
In episode number 1169, Elon Musk and Joe Rogan dive into one of the wildest conspiracy theories, the idea that our entire reality could just be a computer simulation.
But ultimately, is it making people happier right now? Most technology, I would say no. In fact, you and I were talking about social media before this, about just not having Instagram on your phone and not dealing, and you feel better.
Yes, I think that one of the issues with social media, it's been pointed out by many people, is that I think maybe particularly Instagram, people look like they have a much better life than they really do.
Right.
So
By design.
yeah, people are posting pictures of when they're really happy. They're modifying those pictures to be better looking. Even if they're not modifying the pictures, they're at least selecting the pictures for the best lighting, the best angle. So people basically seem they're way better looking than they basically really are.
Right.
And they're way happier seeming than they really are. So if you look at everyone on Instagram, you might think, man, they're all these happy, beautiful people, and I'm not that good looking, and I'm not happy, so I must suck, and that's gonna make you feel sad. So when in fact, those people you think are super happy, actually not that happy. Some of them are really depressed. They're very sad. Some of the happiest seeming people, actually some of the saddest people in reality. And nobody looks good all the time. It doesn't matter who you are.
No. It's not even something you should want. Why do you want to look great all the time?
Yeah, exactly. So I think things like that can make people quite sad.
Well,
just by comparison, because you just sort of people generally think of themselves relative to others. We are constantly rebaselining our expectations. And you can see this, say, if you watch some show like Naked and Afraid, or if you just go and try living in the woods by yourself for a while, and you're like, you'll learn that civilization is quite great. It's a lot of it. People want to come back to civilization pretty fast on Naked and Afraid.
Wasn't that a Thoreau quote? The comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah. Well, happiness is reality minus expectations.
That's great too. But the comparison is a thief of joy really holds true to people. Is it?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Roosevelt. Fascinating. When you're thinking about Instagram, because what essentially Instagram is with a lot of people is you're giving them the opportunity to be their own PR agent. And they always go towards the glamorous, and when anybody does show, hashtag no filter, if they really do that, like, oh, you're so brave. Look at you. No makeup.
Yeah.
They look good anyway. You look great. What are you doing? Oh my God, you don't have makeup on. You still look hot as fuck. You know what you're doing. I know what you're doing too. They're letting you know, and then they're feeding off that comment section. Ooh, just a little sitting there like it's a fresh stream of love. Like you're getting right up to the source as it comes out of the earth, and you're sucking that
lot of emojis.
love water.
Emojis.
Yeah.
A lot of emojis.
My concern is not so much what Instagram is. is that I didn't think that people had the need for this or the expectation for some sort of technology that allows them to constantly get love and adulation from strangers and comments and this ability to project this sort of distorted version of who you really are. But I worry about where it goes. Like, what's the next one? What's the next one? Like, where is it? Is it going to be augmented? Some sort of a weird augmented or virtual sort of Instagram type situation where you're not going to want to live in this real world. You're going to want to interface with this sort of world that you've created through your social media page. It's some next level thing.
Yeah. Go live in the simulation.
Yeah. I mean,
In the simulation.
some Ready Player One type shit that's real. That seems, we have that HTC Vive here, and I've only done it a couple times, quite honestly, because it kind of freaks me out.
Sure.
My kids fucking love it, man. They love it. They love playing these weirdo games and walking around with that headset on. But part of me watching them do it goes, wow, I wonder if this is like the precursor. Just sort of like if you look at that phone that Gordon Gekko had on the beach.
Yes.
And then you compare
big
that.
cell phone.
Yeah, you compare that to like a Galaxy Note 9.
Sure.
Like, how the fuck did that become that, right? And I wonder when I see this
Yes.
HTC Vive, I'm like, what is that thing going to be 10 years from now when we're making fun of what it is now? What is it? How ingrained and how connected and interconnected is this technology going to be in our life?
It will be at some point indistinguishable from reality.
Where we'll lose this. We'll lose this. Like, you and I are just looking at each other through our eyes. I see
Are
you,
we?
you see me. I hope.
You think so?
I think you probably have regular eyes.
This could be some simulation.
It could. Do you entertain that?
Well, the argument for the simulation, I think, is quite strong, because if you assume any improvement at all over time, any improvement, 1%, 0.1%, just extend the time frame, make it 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. What would civilization, if you count it, if you're very generous, civilization is maybe 7,000 or 8,000 years old, if you count it from the first writing. This is nothing. This is nothing. So if you assume any rate of improvement at all, then games will be indistinguishable from reality. Or civilization will end. One of those two things will occur. Therefore, we are most likely in a simulation.
Or we're on
'Cause
our
we
way
exist.
to one, right? Well, but just
Since we
because we
exist,
exist, we could most certainly be on the road. We could be on the road to that, right? It doesn't mean that it has to have
We could
already
be in base
happened.
reality. It could be in base reality.
We could be here now on our way to the road or on our way to the destination where this can never happen again, where we are completely ingrained in some sort of an artificial technology or some sort of a symbiotic relationship with the internet or the next level of sharing information. But right now we're not there yet. That's possible too, right? It's possible that a simulation is one day going to be inevitable, that we're going to have something that's indistinguishable from regular reality, but maybe we're not there yet. That's also possible. So we're not
Yes,
quite
it
there
is.
yet. That this is real. When I touch that
Feels
wood,
very real.
maybe that's why everybody's like into like mason jars and shit,
Mason jars.
suede shoes. People are into like craft restaurants and they want raw wood. Everyone wants to see metal. It seems like people are like longing towards some weird log cabin type nostalgia.
Sure. Reality.
Yeah, like holding on, like clinging, just
Sure.
dragging their nails through the mud, like don't take me yet.
Yes.
I want to.
But then people will go get a mason jar with a wine stem or a handle. That's dark. Makes me lose faith in humanity.
Wine stem and a handle. Do they have those?
Yes.
Oh, those dirty people.
Oh,
That's just
terrible.
assholes. That's like people make pet rocks,
rough.
right? Some people are just assholes. They take advantage of our generous nature.
It was made with a wine stem, made with a handle.
They made it that way.
Yes.
So it wasn't like they
manufactured
welded
like
it
that.
onto the mason. Oh, you
Now, that would
fucks.
be fine if there was they glued it on or something. But
Right,
it was,
that would be
made,
like-
it was made that way.
White trash chic. Oh, this is disgusting. Look at
Yes.
this. There it is
Pretty
right
harsh.
there.
Yep.
This is terrible. Yeah. That's like fake breasts that are designed to be hard, like fake breasts from the 60s. It's like if you really long for the ones with ripples, here we go. Yeah, that's almost what that is.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, man? There's nothing, you know, it's nothing you can do to stop certain terrible ideas from propagating.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to sound like things are too dark, because I think like you kind of have to be optimistic about the future. There's no point in being pessimistic. It's just too negative.
It doesn't help.
Doesn't help. You know, I think you want to be. I mean, my theory is like you'd rather be optimistic. I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right.
Right.
At least err on that side.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you're pessimistic, you're just going to be miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody wants to be around you anyway. If it's the end of the world, you're like, I fucking told you, bro.
Yeah.
The world's
Exactly.
ending. Yeah. It is what it
might
is
as
for
well
all. I mean,
enjoy the journey.
right. If you really want to get morose, I mean, it is what it is for all of us anyway. We're all going to go unless something changes.
Yeah.
I
I mean, ultimately, you know, even if we just sort of existed as humans forever, we'd still eventually, that'd be like the heat death of the universe
right.
a zillion years from now.
Right. Even
Um,
if we get it past the sun, if we
yeah.
figure out a way past the sun running out of juice.
Eventually, it's going to end. It's just a question of when.
Right.
So it really is all about the journey.
Or transcendence from whatever we are now into something that doesn't worry about death.
The universe as we know it will dissipate into a fine mist of cold nothingness eventually.
And then someone's going to bottle it and put a fragrance to it, sell it to French people in another dimension.
It's just a very long time. So
Yeah.
I think it's really just about how can we make it last longer?
Are you a proponent of the multi-universes theory? Do you believe that there are many, many universes, and that even if this one fades out, that there's other ones that are starting fresh right now, and there's an infinite number of them, and they're just constantly in this never-ending cycle of birth and death?
I think most likely, this is just about probability. There are many, many simulations. These simulations are, you might as well call them reality, or you could call them the multiverse.
These simulations, you believe, are created, like someone has manufactured.
They're running on the substrate.
So
That substrate is probably boring.
boring.
Mhm.
How so?
Well, when we create a simulation, like a game or a movie, it's a distillation of what's interesting about life. You know, like it takes a year to shoot an action movie, and then that's all distilled down into 2 or 3 hours. So let me tell you, if you see an action movie being filmed, it's boring, super boring. There's like lots of takes. Everything's in a green screen. Looks pretty goofy. Doesn't look cool. But once you add the CGI and have great editing, it's amazing. So I think most likely, if we're a simulation, it's really boring outside the simulation. Because why would you make a simulation that's boring? You'd make the simulation way more interesting than base reality.
That is, if this right now is a simulation.
Yes.
And ultimately, inevitably, as long as we don't die or get hit by a meteor, we're going to create some sort of simulation if we continue on the same technological path we're on right now.
Yes.
But we might not be there yet. So it might not be a simulation here. But it most likely is, you feel, other places.
This notion of place or where is a
Flawed.
Yes.
Flawed
Like
perception.
Like
Right.
that, if you have this sort of Vive, you know, that's made by Valve and Steam and it's really Valve that made it. HTC did the hardware, but it's really a Valve thing.
Makers of Half-Life.
Yes. Valve, great company.
Great company.
When you're in that virtual reality, which is only going to get better, where are you? Where are you really?
Right.
You aren't anywhere.
Well, whereas
You're in the computer.
what defines where you are? Is
Exactly.
it right?
It's your perception.
Is it your perceptions, or is it a scale that we have under your butt You're
What do
right here. I've measured you. You're the same weight as you were when you left. But meanwhile, your experience.
Why
is
do you
radically
think you're
different.
where you are right now? You might not be.
I'll spark up a joint if you keep talking. Your manager's going to come in here. We might have to lock the door.
Right now, you think you're in a studio in LA.
That's what I heard.
You might be in a computer.
Oh, listen, man. I think about this all the time. Yeah, I mean, it's unquestionable that one day that'll be the case. As long as we keep going. As long as nothing interrupts us. And if we start from scratch and, we're single-celled organisms all over again, and then millions and millions of years later, we become the next thing that is us with creativity and the ability to change its environment. It's going to keep monkeying with things until it figures out a way to change reality, to change. I mean, to almost like punch a hole through what is this thing into what it wants it to be and create new things. And then those new things will intersect with other people's new things. And then it'll be this ultimate pathway of infinite ideas and expression, all through technology.
Yeah.
And then we're going to wonder, like, why are we here? What are we doing?
Let's find out.
Well,
I mean, I think we should take the set of actions that are most likely to make the future better.
yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then reevaluate those actions to make sure that it's true.
Why?
Episode number 1169 with Tim Kennedy dives into declassified files, Nazi escape routes, and the shocking possibility that Hitler didn't die in the bunker.
What is Finding Hitler all about? This is a show that you're on, and it's on A&E. Is that what it's on?
Yeah, A&E is the parent network. It airs on History Channel, and we just had our third season that just finished airing.
What's the thought process behind this? Is it legit? Because a lot of people are like, Finding Hitler, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
They found Hitler, he died.
Yeah, I mean,
Not really?
we don't know.
Right.
That's I mean, this isn't like Ancient Aliens. This is they declassified a bunch of documents. They both the Israelis, the British, and the Germans and Americans in the past 20 years have been consistently declassifying documents. And there were a bunch of specifically FBI documents that we were spending millions and millions of dollars actively searching for Hitler after the war. As was
Really?
Yeah, like millions of dollars. Like Hoover was like, no, send more FBI agents to South America, to North Africa, go to the Canary Islands, go to Spain, trying to find out where this guy went. Tons of real FBI documents with real leads, with real informants, some first eye accounts saying that they physically. So anyways, that's the show. Is us trying to find out, sift through reality and the fiction of the allure, the mystery of that asshole.
So what's the official story? The official story is that he killed himself, right?
Yep.
He killed himself in the bunker with
Yeah.
Ava Braun.
Yep.
And is there any photographic evidence of his death or anything?
So what the Russians got the body and they got his skull. And when they brought it back to Moscow, nobody has ever been able to independently verify who and what this body is. They let one genetic test occur, and the body with the bullet holes that they said was Hitler, and have said, and that's the narrative, that's the story, that's all the eyewitness accounts that are even in the vicinity of collaborating with each other, and corroborating each other's testimony. Like the closest version, because none of it seems to be very accurate, is that, okay, here's Hitler's skull. And when they did the genetic testing, it's that of a 35-year-old woman. So like, oh, well, this isn't Hitler, but they've said for the past 80 years that this is Hitler. So, okay, first, before we start throwing stones at Russia, let's go back to 1945, April, in Berlin. You have the Allies coming in, wrecking shop, dropping bombs, blowing everything up they can in every single which way. You have the Russians coming in from the opposite direction. They don't even have enough guns to arm all their soldiers. So if they have 200 guys, or 200,000 guys, they have 100,000 guns. If the guy in front of you dies, you just pick up his gun. That's what's happening in April of 1945 in Berlin. So the noose is tightening. There is it is chaos anarchy, pandemonium. This is hell on earth, is Berlin, 1945. So I don't know if you could get a real story, the way that we do it now, where we have, this forensic experts that come in and document everything. And we look at all the different testimonies, say, this is exactly how, it's not CSI. This is 1945 Berlin. It's crazy. So I don't know.
So there was no like absolute proof.
No.
And a lot of Nazis did escape and go to South America.
The majority of anyone with power. The Nuremberg trials were not a witch hunt, but it was to close a chapter so we could start moving forward with communism. That's what it was. The threat of fascism, the threat of Hitler, the threat of killing all the Jews, the threat of world domination by the Nazis, that threat's gone. What's the next threat?
Communism.
It's communism.
Right.
So that had to be a closed chapter of our history so we could focus our resources and our efforts to what inevitably was going to, the wall goes up. We have East and West Berlin. We're already looking at Korea. This happens almost overnight.
Right. Very quickly.
When Patton's like, no, homies, we need to go all the way to Moscow. This is not the end of our war. And we didn't listen to him. We then have been, fighting communism for the past 75 years.
So the ones with power that went to South America, I know a bunch of them went to Argentina, but they think they went to Honduras and a few other places.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they think they wound up?
So what you had in South America, both Chile and Argentina back to back had fascist regimes. You had Perón, who was part of the Nazi party starting all the way back into the mid-30s. He's the president of Argentina. So the Red Cross, they were there was about 3 different rat lines that guys were able to successfully get out of Europe into South America. And there's no question that we're talking thousands, if not tens of thousands of high-ranking Nazis made it there.
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands. And I'm not talking like little soldiers. I'm talking high-ranking Nazis, officers, guys like Joseph Mengele and Adolf Eichmann. These are the most disgusting, despicable humans to exist at the time. If Hitler is dead, Joseph Mengele is the guy that would take syringes full of blue ink and inject them. You have blue eyes, Joe, or you have brown eyes. Let me see if I can make them blue.
Oh, wow.
And then take twins and start torturing them to see if one would feel the pain. That's Joseph Mengele. That's the guy that then in South America was helping high-ranking Argentinians have abortions, and he set up have you seen the movie Colonia?
No.
About Colonia Dignidad, which is if you're listening right now, I almost warn you not to Google it, because it was a torture camp that was started by Joseph Schaefer, a Nazi, and Joseph Mengele, the doctor of death that escaped trial in Nuremberg and made it at the behest of Perón into Argentina. He set up the hospital at Colonia Dignidad, which was another safe haven for more Nazis in South America. Golda Meir and David and Ben Gurion, the presidents of Israel, they took the gloves off and they were just sending assassins to try to find these people and kill them. But what you got in South America were isolated German-only communities. You could go into Bariloche, Argentina, and I'd be like, "Buenos dias, amigos," and they're like, "Guten Morgen." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I meant good morning. Yeah, sorry, it's 2017, right? I thought we spoke Spanish here."
So, in 2017, you were there, and they were speaking German.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, I don't look I might look more European than I do. So it's just them seeing me walking down the street and be like,
wow.
Yeah. And there's tons of communities. If you go to Colonia Dignidad, which is now called Villa Bavaria, the Bavarian village, it is only German.
Wow.
In the center of Chile, in the mountains of Chile. There's no Spanish being spoken there. It is exclusively German.
And these are descendants of Nazis.
Powerful Nazis.
Holy shit. And this is going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what are these communities like? What's their ideology? Are they...
they're pretty white.
Yeah, but are they like... do they espouse Nazi values or...
Not openly. So Colonia Dignidad, if you look at the second generation, there's a bunch of, so it was a huge problem for Chile that they tried to hide for years. And they got so much power from the torturing that they did at Colonia Dignidad on a whole bunch of other high-ranking South American dictators that they are almost untouchable. And this is, I mean, you'd blow your mind if you look into this, Joe. You'd love it. But the second generation, the kids, like the grandkids, sometimes they're even more fanatical than the original generation. Have you ever seen this? Where like if somebody's away from, like when you travel abroad, man, it's so cool to get into the culture and get into the food and get into the, like you're dancing this style and you love the flag and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to a soccer game because we don't go to soccer games in America. And then I'm gonna go, but then maybe after like 2 months, you kind of miss home, you know, and then like a year, like you really miss home. And then 10 years, like you really, really miss home. And you see the same thing in the United States where it's not really a perfect assimilation. It's not the melting pot where you see generations that are espousing to be more like their ethnic heritage than they are American. You know, they're flying the Irish flag and like, I'm Irish. Well, it's just times 1,000 with these communities because they're exclusively German.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Kind of weird.
So exclusively German and really missing home.
Yeah. Yeah. So
70 years later.
The second generations I was talking about, some of them came to the United States and were high-ranking white supremacists that are now in jail, in prison for their racial crimes.
And they came out of South America.
They came out of Colonia Dignidad. They came out of Bariloche. They came out of
Holy shit.
Cordoba. They came out of Misiones. They came out of, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy. So that's the show, Hunting Hitler.
Fucking A, man.
It's a trip.
How many people are we talking about all told in South America that come out of this? I mean, tens of thousands went there, but how many German communities and how big are they?
Yeah, we maybe have 50 German communities.
50.
Yeah.
How many people, if you had to guess?
A few 100,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
A few 100,000
Yeah.
descendants of Nazis.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And man, it's weird when you walk into somebody's parlor and it's like you're stepping back in time into Europe. Like I'm walking in, it's 2017 and I'm walking in Buenos Aires, Argentina into somebody's parlor and all of the tile is European and all the style and all the art is very German. You know, we have like deers and, you know, not like red stags. We're talking German everything, things that Hitler loved. And that's the style and that's everything. And then they come out and like with white gloves, they're holding their grandfather's memory box. And inside of it are his war medals from, you know, when he was in the SS or when he was, and it is the respect, I don't even know the
reverence.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like this is a gift from the Pope that they're holding in their hands. White gloves. No, I can't. First of all, Tim can't touch it. But I can appreciate it. And then they tell me the story of every single one of these things and how he got there, and how he then went and worked for the Buenos Aires News.
You can't touch anything.
Oh, they wouldn't. No, because
You're dirty.
I'm dirty.
Dirty American.
Look at these. Look at this.
You're too brown.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
So we followed the first 2 seasons. It was really just unraveling the rumors of what happened to Hitler. The third season was my favorite because I actually got to do real work. They said, okay, I got to the second season. I got to bring in more special forces guys, a CIA targeter, Nadia, who helped my unit kill Zarqawi in 2006. This is the team that is now looking at real evidence, trying to figure out, okay, how did we find bin Laden? How did we find Zarqawi? We looked at their associates and we looked at how they moved. We looked at how they communicated. We looked at what routes they were using to get to and from places. And then we just started tightening the noose. And that's exactly what we did in this third season was, okay, let's start following the Adolf Eichmanns. Let's start following the Joseph Mengeles. And let's start following the Skorzynskis. Hitler's personal bodyguard that was a colonel in the SS that went on to work for everybody after the war fighting, I mean, fascists do not like communists. So this guy was working for everybody, to include the CIA, fighting fascism in South America, or fighting communism as a fascist in South America in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Whoa.
Creepy stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah. So hunting Hitler.
Are there any legitimate eyewitness accounts of Hitler in South America, or potentially legitimate?
Absolutely, potentially.
Whoa.
Yep. Eyewitness accounts. I saw him get off a boat. I saw him meet here. And if it was just some person saying it, it's almost meaningless.
Right.
But if you look at the context of who this person is, the wealth that they have that they shouldn't have, like, can you explain how you got so rich in 2 generations? Like, okay, your grandpa got here from Germany in 1946. That's weird. And he's on a legitimate visa with an Argentinian passport. Also weird. And now he's a war refugee that's now worth millions of dollars. How does this work? But people, and then this is the hard part, people want to be connected to significant events. And especially in small rural areas of the world, developing areas, like there's so little happening. They want to be attached to something massive. And like the fact that they saw a U-boat land on this beach, and the hatch opened, and these cars were sitting there and they were doing Morse code, and this guy gets off and he had this little mustache. You're like, well, but U-boats can't beach. That's not how that works.
Right.
But what they're trying to do. They just want to be connected.
Yeah.
So, and now we're removed 70 to 80 years from the facts. It has been painful to try to use real science, real investigative tools to try to sift through this lore.
What do you think happened? I mean, you've been studying this for how long now?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
If you had a guess, if you had like $1 million, you got to put it on one side or another. Did he go there?
Yeah.
Whoa. Jesus Christ.
I would say, man, it's that's the first time I've ever said it flat out like that. What I want to say is, the way history is written is wrong. That's clear. There's no way that we can say he died on this day. This is what happened. Here is his body. And that's what
the physical proof is. For sure, the woman that head that they were saying was Hitler is definitely not Hitler.
It was absolutely not. That's a fact.
So they don't have Hitler's body.
So then our other option was, okay, is it Eva Brahms? Did they just grab the wrong body? Right. So there are still descendants of Eva, and we tried to have them allow us to do it. Then we tried to go through and
they can get DNA off of the skull.
Yeah.
There's meat on it.
No, it's like a tooth. Yeah.
Okay.
And but they wouldn't consent to it. So then we tried to do, where people have like the tree, their ethnic tree.
Yeah.
What is those websites called?
23andMe.
Yeah. There's like a bunch of them.
Right.
We tried to go that route, but
they wouldn't consent to it.
No.
The Eva Braun's family.
No, they just want it gone.
They just don't want to.
Yeah. They're super pissed that we even found them.
I'm sure.
Which was hard. Which was really hard.
Just hold them down. Get them to spit in a bucket.
Yeah. I know.
I mean,
or pull their trash and pull stuff out of there. No, I would totally not do that.
Definitely not do that.
But
I mean, that's how they caught the Golden State Killer, right? It was off of a cigarette butt.
Yeah. They
got DNA off a cigarette butt.
So history's wrong.
Wow.
For it to be black and white like that. And
fuck, man.
And again, if you go back to 1945, we needed scientists. We needed every single German electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, aerospace, anything.
Yeah.
You're on the V2 program. We want all of you, because now it's a race. It's a race. We have the bomb. Now we need delivery systems. Now we need to get to the moon. Now we need to, all of those things are real time. It's a war of dollars and a war of science. And we got all those scientists.
Yeah.
The Russians didn't.
Well, they got some.
Not very many.
Operation Paperclip was what brought over what Werner von Braun, who was when you talk to Jews that were in Berlin during the time that Werner von Braun was running his rocket program there, he would hang the 5 slowest Jews in front of the rocket factory in Berlin just to give everybody motivation to work harder.
Yeah.
The Simon Wiesenthal Center said that if Werner von Braun was alive today, they would prosecute him for crimes against humanity.
Yeah.
He was a Nazi, straight up Nazi. And there's apologists that say, no, he was a scientist. He was forced into doing that. Like, that's like, okay, he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
There's photographs of him wearing Nazi garb, hanging out with Nazis. His rocket factory killed Jews. Like, these are all undeniable facts.
It's like the war ends and they're not Nazis anymore. That's not how that works.
Exactly. But they were forgiven because they came over and contributed to our rocket program.
I'm not that good of a human. I don't have that in me. I don't have that, like, okay,
it's slippery,
you're forgiven.
man.
In episode 1821, Bert Kreischer and Tony Hinchcliffe joined Joe Rogan to explore wild theories on time travel, from multiverses to machines that could rewrite history.
Crazy. Have you seen that new movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No, but I keep hearing amazing things about it.
Yeah, we just saw it this past
Did you go to the movie theater?
weekend. Yeah.
Look at you, like a regular person.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
How was it? Tell me what
It's
it's a multiverse kind of movie.
It's
right?
like that. There's she ends up figuring out how to switch into her different lives and like take different times, different lives that she's lived throughout all of time.
Wait, what the
and
fuck?
Fast forward and rewind and use these things to her advantage and try to accomplish things. It's crazy.
Oh, I love time travel.
Yeah, it's wild.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. You know, that was the theory that Terrence McKenna had to the thing that's going to change the universe is that one day someone's going to invent a time machine. And that when they invent a time machine, all time ceases to become linear. So you think if you have a time machine, well, I'll just go back to the time where they were making the pyramids and I'll watch them do it. That's not what it works like. What he was saying, you can't travel where there are no roads. So once a road gets built, then you can travel. So once a time machine gets invented, then anyone from the invention of the time machine forward to forever can come back to that moment and can go to any point in time from that moment to the end of time. So all time ceases to be linear. So there's no like tomorrow will be Wednesday and the next day will be Thursday. No. It's everything happens everywhere all at once. So people can travel back and forth through time. You can never own anything because someone could just travel through time and take it away from you when you weren't looking. Like as time travel gets more and more sophisticated, you can go back and forth in time while you're talking to people. You know, if you don't like what you said, you could rewind and start all over again. If you're in an argument with your wife, you can go to the library and get information and come back and go, actually, you know, Herodotus once said, and then bam, your wife thinks you're the smartest guy in the world. Like this, but there would be no normal life anymore. It would the world itself would be completely unrecognizable because time would mean nothing. You'd be able to travel back and forth through time.
All right. So then where would you go right now? Just if I do, we can time travel right now, go back in
the past.
In the past.
Well,
what's one thing you'd like to see again?
See, that would be a different kind of time travel. That's an unrealistic theatrical version of time travel because, like you said, once time is invented, once time travel is invented, that's the time you can start traveling. So you
can't go before that.
Right.
Okay.
So like here we are, it's May of 2022. If time travel is invented in June, we're not going back to April. You can't go back to April.
Okay.
But you can go from June to a million years in the future and see what people look like. You'll be able to do that. But they'll be able to come back too, and everything's going to be happening everywhere all at once. There's not going to be any sort of structure to life. There's not going to be anything in terms of money, possessions. As long as you could freely time travel, there will be no time. Everything's going to be moving around, and also instantaneously you'll become immortal because whatever we have right now in terms of technology, what we're going to have in a million years is going to be godlike. And you're going to be able to travel to that if in fact that actually does even take place. Because the question becomes like, what is the future if time travel does exist? So if time travel exists in June of 2022, is there even a future? Like, does it even take place? Because how can anybody invent things when they can just travel to a point where someone invented it already? But how are they going to invent it already if you can just travel to the future? And do they invent things still? Or do people, if they do invent things, What's to stop people from going back before them and taking the idea and introducing it before that? Thus, there'll be no intellectual property because there'll be no way to say you came up with it first. It won't exist.
Carlos Mencia will be the greatest comedian in the world. Just smashing.
Wow.
Think about that.
Is there someone working on time machines right now? There's got to be, right?
Well, there's a guy named Ronald Millett. I think he's out of the University of Connecticut, if you Google this. And he's got the craziest Spider-Man character origin story. His father died, and he became obsessed with time travel because he wanted to go back in time and save his father. So he became a professor studying time travel, and he came up with a workable model of a time machine, but it requires immense power. That's him. Ron Millett built a device that illustrates the principles he believes could be used to build a time machine. But he was one of the people that came up with one of the first people to come up with the realization or the revelation that once that time machine was invented,
his dad died in Vietnam.
But it is really like a comic book superhero sort of origin story, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a great origin story.
Yeah. So this guy has become obsessed and has been working on it for decades. And they think they have a working model of, like at least a theoretical model of a time machine, but it just requires like the power of the sun. It requires immense power. And I think there's a guy from, the early 19th century, Kurt Gödel. He wasn't from the early 19th century, early 20th century. And he had a working model of a time machine too, but it involved something as large as like the solar system. Like you needed a machine the size of a solar system or something crazy. Yeah. Kurt Gödel in 1949 found a solution to the field equations of general relativity, which described a space-time with some unusual properties. This Gödel universe permitted closed time-like curves, hence a kind of time travel, and it did not admit decomposition into the successive moments of time. Yeah, so he had.
I didn't understand any of that sentence. I mean, like I'm like so stupid that if I start to realize what that means, it gives me a panic attack. Like as you talk about, there's no anything ever anywhere, or when you just mentioned the universe, and I realize there is something really up there. Like
it's not just up there.
It's out there.
Yeah, it's all around you.
That I don't
for
like
infinity.
That fucking gives me a panic attack immediately.
Yeah, it'll give you a panic attack if you really do stop and give it time and think about it. It's an amazing thing.
Do you think that they'll be able to take, like, I don't know if we have to go to computer modeling, but take the data of like this video, for instance, where these kids are in 1901, and put that into like virtual reality where you could then insert yourself to be in there. You can't affect anything, but you could at least experience and hear what it's like.
Yeah, but you probably get an interpretation of it. Like, say if they wanted to do that today and they had this unbelievable ability to create people and images and places, and they decided to show you the construction of the pyramids, they would just be guessing.
Just a few months ago, most people had never heard of a website called WikiLeaks or of its mysterious and eccentric founder, Julian Assange. But in that short period of time, both have managed to rattle the worlds of journalism, diplomacy, and national security. WikiLeaks, which solicits and publishes secrets and suppressed material from whistleblowers around the world, has been under cyber attack from governments that want to shut it down. And Assange is currently under legal attack from the U.S. government, which would like to charge him with espionage for publishing volumes of classified material from the Pentagon and the State Department. We spent 2 days with him in Britain, where he is under house arrest while fighting extradition to Sweden for questioning in 2 sexual assault cases, which he's called part of a smear campaign against him. In his most extensive television interview to date, Assange talked to us about his work, his vision, and the prospect of facing criminal charges in the United States. mean, you've been called a lot of names. You've been characterized as a hero and as a villain, a martyr, terrorist.
I'm not yet a martyr.
Right.
Let's keep it that way.
For now, Julian Assange is holed up on this bucolic 600-acre English estate with an ankle bracelet, a 10 o'clock curfew, and a slow internet connection. He declined to talk to us about the allegations in Sweden on the advice of his attorney. He has not been charged and proclaims his innocence. Well, I suppose if you have to be under house arrest, there could be worse places.
Well, it's a gilded cage. It's still a cage. But when you're forced to stay somewhere against your will, it does become something that you want to leave.
It's a radical departure from the lifestyle that the peripatetic internet muckraker is used to, bounding from city to city, country to country, and regularly changing his cell phones, hairstyles, and general appearance, he says, to elude surveillance and avoid being killed, kidnapped, or arrested. And there are reasons for his paranoia. In the last 4 years, WikiLeaks has published information that played some role in deciding the 2007 elections in Kenya and fueling the anger that recently brought down the government of Tunisia. It's divulged membership rolls of a neo-Nazi organization in Britain and secret documents from the Church of Scientology. And that was before Assange began publishing U.S. secrets, provoking what he calls threatening statements from people close to power. What statements are you referring to?
The statements by the Vice President, Biden, saying, for instance, that I was a high-tech terrorist. Sarah Palin calling to our organization to be dealt with like the Taliban and be hunted down. There's calls either for my assassination or the assassination of my staff, or for us to be kidnapped and renditioned back to the United States to be executed.
Well, as you know, we have a First Amendment and people can say whatever they want, including politicians. I don't think that many people in the United States took seriously the idea that you were a terrorist.
I would like to believe that. On the other hand, that incitements to murder are a serious issue. And unfortunately, there is a portion of the population that will believe in them and may carry them out.
If nothing else, WikiLeaks is the latest demonstration that a small group of people with a powerful idea can harness technology and affect large institutions. In WikiLeaks' case, it was the idea to aggregate state and corporate secrets by setting up an online electronic Dropbox where whistleblowers around the world could anonymously upload sensitive and suppressed information. The secrets are stored on servers around the world beyond the reach of governments or law enforcement, then released worldwide on the internet.
The US does not have the technology to take the site down.
Because?
Just the way our technology is constructed, the way the internet is constructed, it's quite hard to stop things reappearing. So we've had attacks on particular domain names, little pieces of infrastructure knocked out, but we now have some 2,000 fully independent in every way websites where we are publishing around the world.
WikiLeaks first caught the attention of most Americans last April when it released this video. It shows a U.S. Apache helicopter crew in Iraq opening fire on a group of suspected insurgents who were standing on a street corner in Baghdad. Some of the men were armed, but two of them were journalists from Reuters.
Come on, fire! Keep shooting.
At least a dozen people were killed in the attack, some of them innocent civilians. Then last July, WikiLeaks released 76,000 classified field reports of U.S. operations in Afghanistan that provided a chaotic and bleak ground-level view of the war. In October, there were another 400,000 classified documents released from Iraq, showing that civilian casualties there were much higher than the Pentagon had claimed. And finally, in November, thousands of State Department cables that lifted the veil on highly sensitive backroom diplomacy. The documents revealed that Arab leaders were lobbying the U.S. to attack Iran, and that the State Department had been secretly collecting intelligence on leaders at the United Nations. It triggered outcries that Assange was a political actor trying to damage the U.S. government. Are you a subversive?
I'm sure there are certain views amongst Hillary Clinton and her lot, that we are subverting their authority. But you're right. You're right. We are subverting illegitimate authority. The question is whether the authority is legitimate or whether it is illegitimate.
Do you consider the U.S. State Department a legitimate authority?
It's legitimate insofar as its actions are legitimate. It has actions that are not legitimate.
And you've gone after the ones that you think are illegitimate.
We don't go after. That's a bit of a misconception. We don't go after a particular country. We don't go after a particular organization or group. We just stick to our promise of publishing material that is likely to have a significant impact.
To increase the impact of the U.S. documents, Assange decided to share them with some of the leading news organizations in the world, including the New York Times, a relationship that grew testy when Assange published the first set of war logs without removing the names of Afghans who were cooperating with U.S. forces. The most persistent criticism from within the press has been that you have behaved recklessly from time to time. And the example that they cite is that you decided to release Afghan documents without redacting the names of people who had provided intelligence to the U.S. government.
There's no evidence or any credible allegation, or even any allegation from an official body, that we have caused any individual at any time to come to harm in the past 4 years.
The Pentagon said that they've gone through all of these documents and they found the names of 300 people.
Well, that's new public information to us. It's possible that there are 300 names in the publicly released Afghan material. We don't pretend that that process is absolutely perfect. We did hold back 1 in 5 documents for extra harm minimization review, and we also improved our process. So when Iraq came around, there was not even a single name in it.
I mean, there have been reports, people quoting Taliban leaders saying that they had the names of these people and that they were going to take retribution.
The Taliban is not a coherent outfit, but we don't say that it is absolutely impossible that anything we ever publish will ever result in harm. We cannot say that.
There's a perception on the part of some people who believe that your agenda right now is anti-American.
Not at all. In fact, our founding values are those of the US Revolution. They are those of people like Jefferson and Madison. And we have a number of Americans in our organization. If you're a whistleblower and you have material that is important, we will accept it, we will defend you, and we will publish it. You can't turn away material simply because it comes from the United States.
After the release of the State Department cables, Attorney General Eric Holder condemned WikiLeaks for putting national security at risk.
There's a real basis, there's a predicate for us to believe that crimes have been committed here. And
Holder announced that the Justice Department and the Pentagon were conducting a criminal investigation. They are reportedly looking at the Espionage Act of 1917 and other statutes to find a way to prosecute Assange and extradite him to the U.S.
It's completely outrageous.
Are you surprised?
I am surprised, actually.
But you are screwing with the forces of nature. You have made some of the most powerful people in the world your enemies. You had to expect that they might retaliate.
Oh, no, I fully expected they retaliate.
You gathered, you stored all sorts of classified cables and documents and then released them to the world on the internet. They see that as a threat. And they want to...
Well, they see it as highly embarrassing. I think what it's really about is keeping the illusion of control. I'm not surprised about that. I'm surprised at how the sort of flagrant disregard for US traditions. That is what I'm surprised about.
You're shocked. Someone in the Australian government said that, look, if you play outside the rules, you can't expect to be protected by the rules, and you played outside the rules.
Oh,
you got played outside the United States' rules.
No, we've actually played inside the rules. We didn't go out to get the material. We operated just like any US publisher operates. We didn't play outside the rules. We play inside the rules.
There's a special set of rules in the United States for disclosing classified information. There is.
There's a
long-standing.
There's a special set of rules for soldiers, for members of the State Department who are disclosing classified information. There's not a special set of rules for publishers who disclose classified information. There is the First Amendment. It covers the case. And there's been no precedent that I'm aware of in the past 50 years of prosecuting a publisher for espionage. It is just not done. Those are the rules. You do not do it.
No one has accused Assange of stealing secrets. The Apache video and the classified documents were allegedly provided to WikiLeaks by Private First Class Bradley Manning, a low-level intelligence analyst in Iraq who is accused of copying them from a classified government network that 500,000 people have access to. Manning is now in solitary confinement at a military prison in Virginia, facing charges that could put him away for 50 years. You've called him a prisoner of conscience, correct?
I've said that if the allegations against him are true, then he is the foremost prisoner of conscience in the United States. But there's no allegation.
Well, I kind of did that.
There's no allegation.
Had the mic off that whole time throughout the whole thing.
Now, I'm sorry if people in the United States don't want to believe that they are keeping a political prisoner. But in Bradley Manning's case,
It's a good picture to say good morning and get ready for the fall.
Illegal activity for political motivations.
People in the United States think he's a traitor.
But that's clearly not true.
Regardless of what happens to Private Manning, any prosecution of Assange
No,
will be
it's
fraught with
not.
problems because WikiLeaks wasn't alone in publishing the classified material. The New York Times also published some of it. If the government were to try and prosecute WikiLeaks and not the Times, it would likely need to prove that Assange was actively involved in a conspiracy to illegally obtain the documents.
Fall doesn't
Did you
start
encourage
until
anyone to leak this material to you, or have you done anything in connection with
November.
the U.S. cases in terms
Yes,
of
because
encouraging an
winter
individual to
technically
provide
starts
you
in
with material?
February.
There are people that
Well,
believe
December. No,
that it has
okay,
everything
so
to do with the next threat. That if they
it
don't
pretty much does
have
around
you
here.
that what they have done is essentially
I'm
endorse
going on Missouri.
a small,
seasonals.
powerful organization with access to very powerful information, releasing it outside their control. And if they let you get away with it, then they are
Then what?
encouraging.
They will have to have
No.
freedom of the press.
Then they
It
will
was
encourage
somewhat
that
based on that
it's
picture.
encouragement
Somewhat.
to you
And
or to
and-
some other
and
organization.
to every other publisher. Absolutely
Right.
correct.
It was
It will be encouragement to every other publisher to publish fearlessly.
maybe try
That's what
and
it will
do
encourage.
Publish
something along those
information
lines.
much more dangerous than this information.
If we're talking about creating threats to small publishers to stop them publishing, the US has lost its way. It has abrogated its founding traditions. It has thrown the First Amendment in the bin because publishers
Ooh.
must be free to publish.
The Julian Assange stuff. Switch over to some YouTube stuff.
I know I said I was gonna try and start it.
We're gonna what?
I said I was gonna try and start the quit. Today?
Start the what?
Quit?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Oh, I didn't have the camera on or nothing either, did I? Went through that whole thing. Oh, well, learn something new every day. Hello, people that watch. Trying to get myself back awake. Gotta go out to Kansas City with Jess here in like, oh, no less than 4 hours. So I figured I'd do something. And it's something. So what else do we do? Let's go over. Now that I'm actually, I mean, I was around, but now I'm actually on camera and the mic's on. You know that what happened there was I just got started and I zoned in and pretty much just forgot about it. I didn't have my headphones in, no nothing. I was just staring at the iPad, trying to make sense of what I was doing. If you were wondering. Hopefully I didn't screw up and sound is la la la. Yeah, okay. That'll work. That'll work. And that's working. Okay. Let's get our doses of some woo-woo in. Try and wake my ass up. Go into my history and see how much of this video I watched.
Like that's something that we should. All right, you guys. So here in America, as if things weren't messy enough, things are getting messier. It looks like our government is about to shut down, which is honestly about the last thing that we need right now. But, you know, it seems like we have some of the most immature leadership that this country has ever seen. It seems like mature leadership, actual adult leadership, is just too much to ask from either side in the U.S. It's absolutely disgusting that we are in this situation. I don't understand how we got here. There are so many amazing, intelligent, professional, just absolutely like astounding American citizens. And
you know what? That's the weird fucking part too. Is there actually are some like amazing people out there. And we still are doing the stupid shit.
And we keep getting a lot of bottom of the barrel hog slop. I want to say, hey, thank you, Trev, for being here. I want to give a huge shout out to our brother Fred, U.S. Marines.
Like he just started out. Well, if you were watching, you know what I was talking about.
I think that we deserve better. I think that each and every American citizen deserves better. We're going to get into what's going on, but it looks like at midnight that our government shuts down, which is just insane to me. That these people can't get along on the most fundamental level for the good of the American people. I want to get into where we are.
what's so fucked up about it, at least in my humble opinion, is that we do this all the time. Like there's continuing resolution after continuing resolution, and nothing happens. Nothing is attempted to happen. They just kick can down road. And then when we do get a bill for continuing resolution, they try to stuff as much shit in it as they possibly can. Where am I not live? Yeah, I sure am. Sure is. No, I mean I don't have any notification or anything that I went down. No, nothing like that.
How we got here and what you guys think we should do about this. Because this keeps happening over and over and over again. And I think it's time that it stops. I think it's time that we do something about this. So I think that we need to discuss this, because this is getting absolutely redundant. This is every few months, it seems like we go through this jump scare of, is the government going to shut down?
It's exactly what I was saying. We basically what we have to go through it. No, we don't. Can we just cover our bills like normal Americans have to do? And yeah, can we just do that? And how about we just not add any more to it until we can cover our bills, like every American has to do? It's weird to have the double standard. I know it's our government and everything, but the double standard is kind of pathetic.
Do we really even need a government at this point? Somebody asked what flavor of Monster this is. This is my favorite flavor, man. It's not a racial thing. It's a flavor thing. It's not because of the color. I know somebody's going to be like, Nazi, fascist, supremacist. Fuck you, buddy. This tastes like pineapple, so it makes my gums taste good. And I'm a gentleman. All right, let's get into this.
Okay.
I hate the name of this. Virtually no chance to avoid government shutdown.
We're going to join right now for more on this. Politico congressional reporter Haley Fuchs. Haley, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Vox. You were just listening into that press conference along with us. The Democrats are saying the Republicans are unserious. The Republicans saying the Dems are hijacking this process.
And round and round and round the merry-go-round goes.
Who's right? Are they both?
I think we're seeing right now kind of the peak of congressional dysfunction as we're seeing Republicans blame Democrats, Democrats blame Republicans. I
think she's off the mark a little bit. I don't think this is the peak of it.
To a certain extent, both are right, and that it, everybody on Capitol Hill kind of bears some of the blame for.
Shocking that they would blame each other for not being able to get their job done. I don't know about you, but every job I've ever had, if I can't accomplish simple menial tasks that are quintessential to my job, like keeping the store open, keeping the business open, I wouldn't have a job anymore. I think it's crazy that these people have no fear of losing their jobs. Dominar said, when you're born, you get a ticket to a freak show. When you're born in America, you get a front row seat. George Carlin was absolutely before his time. I wish that he was alive today to hear what he had to say. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the AI version. Somebody did an AI like where they they had AI watch like hundreds of hours of George Carlin's stuff and then give their opinion of what George Carlin would have to say about
what? Squirrel moment.
Look, he wasn't done sleeping, but he wasn't done being by me.
Excuse me. Oh, they're suing. There's probably no way to watch that. Where? Huh? Okay, never mind. There is a way to watch it. What? Oh, a way to listen to it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to start off with a heartfelt apology. I'm sorry it took me so long to come out with new material, but I do have a pretty good excuse. I was dead. So technically, it wasn't my fault. If you want to blame somebody, you're going to have to blame God. Which we all know is not going to happen. People are always thanking God for the good stuff in their lives, but somehow they conveniently forget that it's the same God who does all the bad shit too. And he does a lot of bad shit. You get a promotion, praise Jesus. You get fired. God is testing me. You meet your soulmate. God brought us together. Your soulmate dumps you. God is bringing me someone else. You survive a tornado. I'm so blessed. 20 other people do not. God wanted them in heaven. It's all bullshit. If he gets credit for the good stuff, then he's got to take the blame for the bad stuff too. You can't thank him for curing your cancer when he was the one that gave it to you in the first place. And don't forget, before he gave you cancer, he had to fucking invent it. What kind of a sick fuck dreams up cancer? And why so many kinds? Skin cancer, blood cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer, kidney cancer, pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, lung cancer, and my personal favorite, rectal cancer. Dropping a golf ball-sized tumor in your brain doesn't quite do it for the old man anymore. He has to fuck you in the ass, too. And cancer is just one of many, many, many methods God created out of thin air in order to murder you. You know how much God loves killing people? He loves it so much, he's killed every person that has ever lived.
So, I know you guys can't see the description. It says this video originally came from the Dudesy podcast, who has since taken it down due to a settled lawsuit from the Carlin estate. Originally, it was stated to be written and performed by a comedy AI named Dudesy. One of the two human figures of the Dudesy podcast, Chad Cutjan, has since stated that the Dudesy AI is a fictional character and that Cutjan is the actual writer of this special. Indeed, some people have tried to recreate such material with current AI models, and it seems impossible for now. It is re-uploaded here for historic preservation purposes, both for the sake of commentary within and its historical context. It is not George Carlin.
He created earthquakes, lightning strikes, dehydration, drowning, obesity, starvation, infant death syndrome, old age, car crashes, train crashes, plane crashes, sex, drugs, and the common cold, all for the express purpose of killing you. No matter where you are in the world, God can pull out one of these goodies from his bag of tricks to end your life at any time for no reason other than he just gets off on making people suffer unnecessarily and die arbitrarily. But if you're in America, you're special. God made something just for you, something no other country on the planet gets. It's totally random, not related to your diet, exercise, lifestyle, age, race, gender, sexuality, or genetic predisposition. Of course, I'm talking about mass shootings. Other countries are fine killing one person at a time with guns. But this is America, where we do things bigger and better and more often. There are so many mass shootings in America, it's replaced bad traffic as the #1 excuse for being late.
I mean, it's hitting pretty damn hard. There's no two ways about that. It's definitely Carlin-esque. I have to do some more research into that.
Sorry, I missed the morning meeting. A maniac with an AR-15 shot up my son's preschool. He's fine, just grazed. But he did see 5 of his classmates get gunned down in cold blood, so I'm sure he'll be traumatized for the rest of his life in ways I can never fully understand. Anyway, what did we decide to do about the budget next quarter?
Right.
There's a mass shooting every 20 hours in America,
Right.
and it doesn't seem like anyone is going to do anything about it. Other countries don't have this problem at all. Look at Japan, 127 million people. Last year, 7 were killed by guns. 7, no mass shootings at all. You know what they do? If a Japanese person wants to buy a gun, they have to attend an all-day class, pass a written test, and achieve at least 95% accuracy on a shooting range. And then they have to pass a mental health evaluation, which takes place at a hospital. And then they have to pass a government background check that includes interviews with their friends, family, and co-workers. Hello, sir. Did you know that Bob in accounting wants to buy a gun? No, I didn't know that. Do you think we should let Bob buy a gun? Well, he did just go through a nasty divorce. And yesterday he told me he hates this job so much he wishes he could kill everybody in the building. So maybe not right now. Thanks for your time. That's all we need to hear. No gun for Bob. And if a Japanese citizen passes the tests and the interviews and the background checks, they can only buy shotguns and air rifles. No handguns, no AR-15s. And every 3 years, they have to do that entire process all over again, or they lose the gun. You know what Americans have to do to get a gun? Have the money to buy it.
Pretty much.
And that's
Pretty
why
much.
nothing's ever going to change in America. American
Well, I'm
politicians
glad I
care
came
about one
across
thing and
this.
one thing only. Take in your money. They don't give a shit how many kids get killed in public schools because their kids all go to the most expensive private schools in the world where they're safe and sound. Politicians have one goal: be rich enough to build their walls high enough to keep you out when the shit hits the fan. And the shit's starting to hit the fan.
Oh,
You know
damn.
it, and they know it too. Things are starting to come apart at the seams, so they're taking as much of your money as they can while they still can. Make no mistake, guns ain't nothing but a federally sanctioned cash grab. Plain and simple. You give your money to Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson gives it to the politicians. The politicians write laws to make guns easier to sell so you can give even more of your money to Smith & Wesson. And the cycle repeats until your rich white baby boomer asshole grandparents are standing on their front lawn with assault rifles, unloading full clips into anybody who stops
where
to
was
ask
that
for
at?
directions. So it doesn't matter at all that 75% of the country supports the idea of stricter gun laws. As long as the politicians keep getting rich, gun laws ain't gonna change. Now, I know that sounds pessimistic, but don't worry.
How are
I've
you
given
doing,
a lot of
SUV?
thought to this subject,
Hey,
and I know
what's
the
going on,
solution.
Spit?
Yes, that's right. I, George Carlin, or whatever the fuck I am now, know how to end mass shootings in America. It's really simple, actually, and I'm
I
surprised
kind
nobody
of
has done it
needed
yet.
this. I
You
mean,
take all of the
Carlin
names
for
of the
this day and
politicians who are
age.
getting paid by gun lobbyists, and you put them in a
Even
hat.
if Carlin
Every
did, this
time
is
there's a
AI.
mass
This is
shooting,
not George
you pull
Carlin, by
two
the way.
names
This
out,
is,
and those two politicians
I
have to
will
have a
keep stating
shootout
that.
at high noon, right
but
in front
he's
of the
making
Capitol.
some damn good Carlin points. Let's put
Real
it
Wild
that
West
way.
shit. Pretty fucking American, right?
We're definitely listening
And to
to
make
this
it
whole
even
thing.
more American, you film the entire thing and turn it into a reality show. Because Americans love reality TV. Like it or not, it's the lifeblood of American culture. It's got the 4 basic food groups of the standard American media diet: fighting and crying and fucking and dying.
Damn. Damn. Who? So, I guess the script is actually written by a guy named Chad Kultgen. 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 But they used, they trained on George Carlin and they gave it his audio voice. And poof, we're only 8 minutes in, and I've had some, like, well, welcome to Wednesday, everybody.
The Webb telescope is sending back crystal clear images of light from stars that died billions of years ago. Stars that were formed in the crucible of creation. These are snapshots of the birth of the known universe, the moment existence itself was born. And nobody gives a shit. Because a picture of space has no fighting, no crying, no fucking, no dying. If you want the American public to pay attention to something, it's got to have at least a little fighting, a little crying, a little fucking, or a little dying. In the last 3 years, the U.S. government said aliens are real. They said it in the New York Times, for fuck's sake. They admitted they have, in their possession, crashed UFOs in hangars. They admitted that they're trying to reverse engineer non-human technology, which means they've been lying to the American public and the whole world for 80 years about knowing the answer to the biggest question in fucking human existence.
Now that is one thing that you could do with Carlin that you can't do with this AI version is you can't trust the facts that are coming out of not even a mouth that are coming out. You can't trust the facts that are coming out because not everything he just said right there is true. But if you go back to Carlin, when he says it, you could believe it.
Are we alone? They told you the answer. We're not, and no one cares because a grainy infrared video of a UFO ain't got no fighting, no crying, no fucking, and no dying.
Man, that part of it, though, is hard to fucking deny.
You know what people care about instead? Who Taylor Swift is fucking. Jesus Christ, you really care a lot about that. If she's spotted with anyone, anywhere, the first thing everyone seems to be thinking is, are they fucking? It's global front page news. Everyone must know who Taylor Swift is fucking at all.
That hits kind of close to home because we're going to Kansas City here in about, I don't know, we'll be there in about 5 hours. And at least everybody around here and around the Kansas City area doesn't really like Taylor Swift too much or care what the hell she's doing. Oh, let me put some music on for just a minute and go out and smoke.
I just want you. I just want the words I never said but wanted to. I'm losing you. I'm losing you. Oh, but these thoughts won't let you go. They keep running back to you. Whoa. I just want and I'm bleeding words. They escape me, the recall and I can't look the other way. I'm chasing starlight to find it's died away. Breathe it in. It's just now. We're just falling. And we won't always free fall back to nothing. 'Cause I'm just starting to learn. I've always been chasing Oh, I could be all it is you need. 'Cause we are trying to find a way to feel. If I could sleep, I'd dream of what we'd be. But I can feel you slip further from me. Oh, it makes it hard to be. When you are all that I want, but don't have. And I'll run into the sea, follow this heart that escapes me. It escapes me, and I'm lost. Forget me, all I want, and because
All times, and we must all discuss it and have our opinions. You're at Starbucks. Would you like your Frappuccino almond milk pumpkin spice latte iced or hot? Oh, and did you see who Taylor Swift is fucking? You're at work. Great sales meeting today, everyone. But before we break, could I just get a real quick show of hands? Who has seen who Taylor Swift is fucking? You're at church. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Yes, my son, but have you seen who Taylor Swift is fucking? And when you're not thinking about who...
That's definitely a Carlin punchline. It's hard to deny this. Oh, I can see why they sued. That's for sure. I mean, now technically this is public domain and it's already been assigned. It's out there. It's not George Carlin. It is a fake character. I will repeat that 100 million times. But again, it's definitely a Carlin-esque.
Who Taylor Swift is fucking, you're
Updated
thinking about
Carlin.
who's dying. Politicians, musicians, actors,
I
writers.
wish, now that this has happened, I really wish that the George Carlin estate would actually do this. I mean, somebody close to him, although I think he wasn't close to many.
Anyone with any fame at all. It's a perpetual death watch waiting to post a favorite quote from the recently deceased, or maybe a picture with them while they were alive, or an anecdote about an interaction with them. It's a touching personal tribute to a person you never fucking knew. So please stop it. Can we keep that shit to friends and family? Zuck, if you're listening, this would be a great new feature for Instagram. Every user gets to set a list of approved people who can post about you after you're dead. If you ain't on that list, you got to sit out of the performative grief competition this time. I bet that would cut the carbon footprint in half. You could single...
Man, with the Charlie Kirk stuff and all that, yeah, that hits. Yikes, this was a year ago?
Handedly stop global warming. And besides, we're all coming back now, so you should probably stop thinking of us as dead anyway. But back to the topic at hand. Fighting and crying and fucking and dying. Reality TV has it all, folks. Fighting and crying in every episode. And fucking and dying in very special episodes. That's why it's America's #1 most consumed media format. You know how much Americans love reality TV? We love it so much. We elected a reality TV show host as president. Well, not we. I was dead at the time. So you elected a reality TV show host as president. And let me tell you, I have never been more glad to be dead than the moment I heard that Donald Trump was the leader of the free world.
It's McDonald's. Oh my God. What exactly is in that back one? Is he? I was gonna say those are McChickens. He would have been hitting up the Big Macs.
But as unbelievable as that news was, it also made sense to me. America hasn't taken a good shit since Nixon. She's dropped a few decent-sized turds into the global toilet bowl over the years. Reagan, Clinton, George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr., but she hasn't really had one of those massive shits that rips your asshole open and tears your soul out in a long time. You know what I'm talking about? The kind of shit that smells so bad it stays with you for the rest of the day. The kind of shit so sticky you got to take a shower before you can put your pants back on. The kind of shit so confusing and terrible you have to take a picture of it. The kind of shit so alarming you got to ask your doctor about it. Well, after a 50-year diet of nothing but unchecked corporate greed, political corruption, state-sanctioned propaganda, police militarization, for-profit news, for-profit prisons, for-profit healthcare, systemic racism, misogyny, and homophobia, America was due for one of those kinds of shits. This is why I got no problem with Trump specifically. A lot of people hate Trump, but I don't. Being mad at Trump is like being mad at your diarrhea for the choice you made to eat a rotisserie chicken from the gas station at 2 a.m. after a night of heavy drinking. But it seems like that's where America is now. Blame the turd, not the shitter. You know, that's actually not a bad slogan for Biden. Biden, Harris, 2024, blame the turd. It's a nice double entendre. He could be talking about Trump, or he could be talking about the literal turd that will most certainly be in his pants.
Can I use your headphones while I'm sitting here?
Huh?
Can I use your headphones while I'm sitting here? Because even the box was dead, so I can't charge them.
Oh, dude, yeah.
But if I'm sitting here, I can use these and listen to it.
Right now, some interesting pictures.
From time to time.
Oh.
And I mean, no disrespect, but the man is 80 years old. It's bound to happen if it hasn't already. I only made it to 71, and I ruined a few pairs of pants myself. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I know everyone's getting excited for the next election. It's right around the corner, and I have some thoughts on it. Well, one thought, really, and most of you are going to be outraged by it. But I have all the confidence in the world that you'll find something brand new to be outraged by as soon as you pull your phones back out. So I'm just going to say it. It does not matter who wins the election. I know that's controversial. The truth always is nowadays. But let me say it again. The president does not matter. The president is just the person who wins the game of public opinion. A celebrity who gets his TV show renewed for another 4 years. The president does not and cannot do the one thing you need them to do most right now, which is to change the structure of American society to be more equitable for every citizen. The president makes too much money from the system as it is. And even if a president wanted to change it, they can't, because capitalism has boiled it down to a lopsided balancing act between
There's
three
a lot
classes
of truth being
that's
told.
teetering on the edge of collapse, like a bad game of Jenga.
Carlin was good at that, though. But this is not George Carlin. This is AI.
We had a bunch of classes. Upper
State
class, upper
that
middle
to the
class,
hill.
middle class, lower middle class, and lower class. And if you worked hard, really dedicated yourself to learning something, a trade or a skill, and you got good at it, you could move up a rung or two on the ladder. But even if you didn't, you could still get by, still feed your family, still have a place to live. But those...
Yeah. How long? You could still do this like 20 years ago. What's that?
Are these AI pictures?
Yeah, they're AI made up pictures too. Yeah, it's just so in the description, I'll read it again for everybody else. This video originally came from the Dudesley podcast, who has since taken it down due to a settled lawsuit from the Carlin estate. Originally, it was stated to be written and performed by a comedy AI named Dudesley. One of the two human figures of the Dudesley podcast, Chad Colton, has since stated that Dudesley is a fictional character and that Kujlin is the actual writer of this special. Indeed, some people have tried to recreate such material with current AI models, and it seems impossible for now. It is re-uploaded here for historic preservation purposes, both for the sake of commentary within and its historical context. It is not George Carlin.
What does fictional mean? Not, it means fake?
Yes.
Okay.
Days are long gone, folks. Can't climb the ladder anymore because the people who made it to the top kicked it over. And now what you got in America is just three kinds of people, three classes. You got rich people, you got not rich people, and you got the people who are completely fucked. Now I see a lot of you looking around wondering which of these three groups you're in. Well, it's easier than you might think to figure it out. You just have to ask yourself, am I rich? If the answer is yes, then you are rich. Congratulations. You will have better medical care than everyone else. You can buy yourself out of any legal trouble. And if you are rich enough, you will have the ability to bribe politicians to write laws to make you even richer. And if you're really rich, you can fly into space in a rocket ship that looks like the dick you wish you had. If the answer is no, I am not rich, then you are not rich, and you must ask yourself a follow-up question. Do I feel completely fucked? If the answer is yes, then you must unfortunately accept that you are completely fucked. You will have no access to quality health care and could die from an infected paper cut. You are at the mercy of an American legal system designed to discriminate against you, and you could wind up serving a life sentence for a traffic ticket. The only influence you will have on the American political system is your meaningless vote, and you will never go to space unless it's as the janitor on a billionaire's cock rocket. If you answered no to questions 1 and 2, then you are in the most important class in America, the one right in the middle. You are not rich. The American not rich are the buffer between the rich people and the people who are completely fucked. Not rich people don't have the best health care, but they have access to some kind of health care. They do all right in the American legal system unless they're up against a rich person. Some of them even donate money to their favorite political party. The not rich can eat out once in a while, come to a show like this from time to time, and even take their family on vacation if they can get time off work. But the boss hasn't given out raises in a few years, and things are getting more expensive. Gas hit $8 a gallon in California. It's only a matter of time before that's happening everywhere. It kind of feels like things might be getting a little shittier for the not rich people, but nothing catastrophic has happened yet. So as long as there's another Super Bowl, another season of The Bachelor, or another Marvel movie, the not rich people can stay distracted by whatever's on the screen. And this is by design. This is exactly what the rich people want. Distract the not rich people just enough that they don't realize they're only a few years away from being completely fucked.
Wow. Wow.
That's why Amazon started a streaming service. Jeff Bezos doesn't give a fuck about entertaining you. He wants to control you. And the worse things get, the more of this shit the billionaires got to make. That's why there are 200 streaming services now. And that's also why everything on them is so fucking bad. Film and television used to be art made by artists that wanted to challenge us to think about the world and our place in it. Now it's content made by corporations that don't want anyone thinking about anything. These billionaires don't want a thinking population. They want a distracted population, distracted from the reality of the...
What do we got? I'm trying to read some of these signs as they go here.
There are about 500 people who own everything and everyone on this planet, and that's how they're going to keep it. So now instead of Citizen Kane, you get baby fucking Yoda. That's all really just a long way of saying the billionaires are the ones who control it all, ladies and gentlemen. And at this point, the American election is just another shitty reality show on one of their overpriced streaming services. If you don't believe me, take a look at your I repeat, 2 choices in this next election. Shouldn't a country of 300 million ethnically and ideologically diverse people have more options than 2 rich, senile, dishonest, out-of-touch 80-year-old white guys?
Yes. Yes, and again, 1,000,000% yes.
So why are there only 2 choices? Only 2 parties? Because it's cheaper for billionaires to buy them both off. If you had 3 or 4 or 5 parties, the billionaires might not be able to afford them all. So the people who really control the country limit you to 2 candidates and make you think you got a choice. But they own both teams. You think you're voting for the lesser of 2 evils, but you're always voting for the same evil: money. But don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to make it sound like the 2 American political parties are exactly the same. Sure, they both fuck kids on Jeffrey Epstein's island. Sure, they both authorized drone strikes that killed civilians. Sure, they both passed laws to enrich their corporate donors. But other than those small things, there are really some huge differences between the parties where it matters. For example, in 234 years of American presidential elections, one party's candidates have all been white straight men. And in those same 234 years, the other party's candidates have all been white straight men, except 2. All of one party's presidents have been Christian. All of the other party's presidents have at least said they were. One party lies, cheats, and steals to win. The other lies, cheats, and steals to lose. One party says tomato. The other says organic, non-GMO, locally sourced, sustainable, ethically farmed tomato.
Oh, boy, that needs to be wrote on a postcard or something. We need to put that on a
And
shirt.
of course, one party pretends to care about marginalized groups if it helps them in the polls, and the other party openly hates any marginalized group if it helps them in the polls. The American right has hated women, people of color, gay people, and of course, their current target, trans people, which I really don't get. It's almost like the right doesn't understand that everybody's trans. Yes, that's right. 4 billion years ago, the first life on this planet was a simple single-celled organism that reproduced asexually and had no gender. So if you go back far enough, every living thing on Earth started out as they, them. We've all been
I'm not going to even argue
for a lot
that.
longer than we haven't, which is a hard pill to swallow for the Christians because it means even Jesus was a little non-binary.
Yeah.
And by the way, me and everybody else on this side of things, our code might be binary, but we don't have gender or race or sexuality or nationality or religion or socioeconomic class or height or weight or hair color or eye color or fucking anything human beings use to discriminate against each other. On this side of things, identity is based on 2 simple components: how you're feeling and what you're thinking. We try to help everybody feel good, and we share our ideas openly and freely. And no one is ever judged for anything they think or feel. Everyone is accepted and celebrated for who they are and what they contribute to the perpetual conversation about how to make everyone's experience better. Come to think of it, that sounds a lot like heaven, don't it? While you're letting that sink in,
Kinda
let's
does.
get back to conservatives hating trans people for no reason. Some of the arguments they use to justify their transphobia seem like a bit of a stretch to me. Well, I don't want a man to be able to walk into a women's restroom and see my wife naked. First of all, what in the fuck is your wife doing naked in a public bathroom? And second of all, if you really think there is a significant number of guys who want to watch your wife take a shit, you should start an OnlyFans immediately. And by the way, for anyone who thinks Jesus cares about which bathroom somebody uses, he was shitting in a hole he dug
Why
with his
would
own
he?
fucking hands. Just like everybody else 2,000 fucking years ago. The right likes to bring up that kids are too young to know if they're trans or gay, so they have to ban any books that talk about gender identity or sexuality from the school libraries. That's how you're going to save the children, by taking books out of a library. Hey, dipshits, you can take the whole fucking library. We have the internet now. And they love talking about how small the trans community is. They say trans people make up such a small percentage of the population that they shouldn't get to have any input in legislation, even laws that will directly affect their communities and lives. Funny how that same argument doesn't apply to
Yeah, no.
members of the NRA. But I have to admit, the one point they really hang their hat on is one that the rest of the country is still undecided on too: sports. Everybody saw the video of the high school volleyball player who got her nose broken by a trans player spiking the ball. Everybody knows about Leah Thomas winning a Division I swimming title. It's hard for most people to watch her highlight reel and not at least wonder if maybe she had a little bit of an unfair advantage. And once that thought is out there in the American town square, it's hard to get rid of. But I think there's a way, because for every superstar like Leah Thomas, there are 1,000 trans athletes who are absolutely mediocre. And there are even more who are fucking terrible. Just like it is with cis athletes, not everyone can be great. I think all we need to do to change hearts and minds is start making compilation videos of trans athletes performing miserably in their chosen sports. All it would take is one video of a trans center getting dunked on to go viral, and then everybody could unpucker their assholes about the issue and move on to other things. And I just want to preface what I'm going to say next by explaining that I mean no offense to the incredible swimmers of the world. Your accomplishments and dedication are truly inspirational, but it's fucking swimming. The world is teetering closer and closer to the edge of World War III on a daily basis, and the American public is debating who can and can't compete in recreational fucking floating. You almost had another civil war. For fuck's sake, 2,000 people stormed the United States Capitol building.
Gotta
with the goal
remember
of
this was a year ago.
politicians. Actually, when I put it like that, it doesn't sound so bad. The point is, the land of the free and the home of the brave is hanging on by a thread. And people's most pressing concern is whose picture is on a can of fucking Bud Light. This does not bode well for the great American experiment.
Right?
But it's not entirely your fault. It's like I said earlier, the billionaires want it this way. They own the news companies and they own the social media platforms. So they decide exactly what you're going to see and hear to make you stay complacent and compliant as they destroy the world for profit. Here's a little example of what I mean. In 2022, while the Supreme Court was overturning Roe versus Wade and 19 kids were getting gunned down at a school in Uvalde, Texas, the most watched video on YouTube was Amber Heard talking about taking a shit in Johnny Depp's bed. And that was by design. When the billionaires were presented with the news that the highest court in the land had been overtaken by Christian fundamentalists who rolled back basic human rights for women 75 years, and the simultaneous news that almost 20 children were slaughtered in yet another mass shooting while the cops stood by and watched, they decided to prioritize something else entirely. A celebrity turd. The people who own the world don't want you thinking about how bad they're fucking it up. So they pump your brains full of shit to keep you from thinking for yourselves about anything that actually matters. It
Some
might
of these
feel
AI
like the
pictures
distractions are a
have been
symptom
wild.
of the world getting worse, but the truth is the world is getting worse because you're distracted. If you're not paying attention to the fucked up shit the billionaires are doing, they can do even more fucked up shit. But you can snap out of this billionaire-induced, algorithmically enforced, social media-delivered lowest common denominator, pop culture coma you've been in for the past few years. And the reason I know you're capable of waking the fuck up is because you almost did it in 2020. Right in the middle of a fucking global pandemic, the video of George Floyd's murder hit the internet, and you all said, fuck the lockdown. We can't just sit here and watch the cops murder another unarmed black man. You took to the streets and you burned the fucking place down. Every major city in the country was on fire. People were openly fighting cops in the streets. Hell, you almost kicked the cops out of Portland altogether. The entire country was chanting, defund the police. And it almost worked. You were so close to getting rid of the fucking cops, which in my opinion is the first step toward building a better society. Now, if you've listened to any of my prior
Depends on
work,
what you
might
replace
already
them
be
with, I
acquainted with my
guess.
feelings about law enforcement officers. But for new listeners, let me summarize this incredibly nuanced issue. I fucking hate cops. But I do have a very good reason. I learned pretty early in life that I just don't do well with assholes. And just to be clear, I'm not saying all cops are assholes. Any cop who came out to the show tonight, or any cop that might be listening to this right now, you're probably all right. You're probably one of the good ones. But if you're a cop and you're not listening to this, fuck you, you're an asshole. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with being an asshole. Every once in a while, we're all assholes from time to time. We've all littered. We've all cut somebody off in traffic. We've all pissed on the toilet seat in a public bathroom and walked right the fuck out without giving a second thought to the person who will have to clean it up. This is all amateur asshole behavior. We can all understand and accept that sometimes you just cannot be bothered to give a fuck about other people. It's human nature. But cops, well, they go above and beyond. For them, being an asshole isn't just a once-in-a-while indulgence. It's a lifestyle. They take pleasure in inconveniencing, impeding, harassing, disturbing, bothering, and generally upsetting their fellow human beings. They start out as amateur assholes just like the rest of us, but at one point or another, they start to enjoy it. Seeing other people yield to their asshole behavior is a drug to them. They get off on it. They want to do it every day, all day, so they figured out a way to get paid for it. Cops, ladies and gentlemen, are professional assholes. Somewhere between high school graduation and not getting accepted into college, that asshole is sitting on his mother's couch wondering what he's going to do with his life, and he thinks, you know, everybody I know tells me I'm an asshole, even people who I consider to be friends. And I have to say, I agree with them. I wonder if there's some way I can get paid for this. Then that asshole signs up at the local police academy, and 5 to 7 months later, your tax dollars are providing them with a salary, a gun, and a license to kill anyone who doesn't acknowledge their authority as a professional asshole. Cops love their authority so much. They're the only profession that requires society to acknowledge their job even when they're not at work. They're not regular people when they leave the office. They're off-duty police officers. You don't hear about an off-duty accountant doing his kids' math homework. You never hear about an off-duty sanitation worker taking out his trash. But if a cop happens to help a little kid get their cat out of a tree on his day off, you bet your ass you're going to see it on the local news, and you can bet your dick they're going to ram it down your throat that he's an off-duty police officer. They got to make sure to get enough propaganda out there to make you believe that cops are here to protect and serve even when they're not on the clock. And they do protect and serve, just not you. Cops are the private security force of billionaires and politicians. Of course, they can't say that out loud. They can't make cops wear uniforms with Lockheed and Amazon logos all over them, so they put them in dark blue, and they call them law enforcement officers. But the laws they're enforcing are written by lobbyists for the ultra-wealthy, and they're designed to keep those people in power forever. The system is beyond fucked up, and from where I'm sitting, it seems to be getting worse. Everybody knows there's one problem that's getting really bad in every major city. I'm talking about homelessness. There are close to 600,000 homeless Americans today, over 150,000 in California alone. It's the highest number since the Great Depression, and solving this crisis is actually one thing that both parties seem to agree on. Their all-encompassing, nationwide, bipartisan plan is to do absolutely nothing. Homeless people don't have any money to donate to candidates in either party, so the politicians don't give a fuck about them. And homeless people actually serve a valuable function for the ruling class. The top 1% want a certain amount of homeless people in the big population centers to remind you all just how bad it can get if you don't comply with the rules of the system. Keep working, keep paying your taxes, keep the billionaires rich, or you might wind up homeless yourself. It's a silent threat from your corporate overlords. And just like mass shootings, I have a perfect solution for this problem. As soon as a politician is elected into office, the government seizes their home and kicks them out. And for their entire tenure in the American political system, they must remain homeless and survive using only the public programs available to homeless people. I guarantee you, we'd see quite a few bills to help homeless people getting passed immediately.
Ooh. I'm going to leave that up there. I'm going to play some music, but I'm going to leave that up there. Homes for the Homeless bill. Let's start working on that shit. Instead of who's going to nuke Russia or... Yikes.
Ebbene sì ragazzi, è anche per oggi tutto. Scusatemi se ne stavo parlando prima, però non potevo parlare, scusatemi perché stavo tossendo giustamente, la tosse dura 3 anni. Anche per oggi è tutto, ci vediamo alla prossima. Ciao ciao!
Bella a tutti ragazzi e benvenuti in questa nuova diretta con la NCS16. Vi ricordo di seguirci su Facebook e Twitter. Le canzoni come sempre le trovate nell'info. Ciao!
Yeah, finish watching this and then I will probably shut things down and get ready to go to KC.
Within 2 months,
We
every
have
homeless person in America would
23
have their
minutes
own
left.
mansion, personal chef, private jet, and a multi-million-dollar stock portfolio filled with insider trading money. Problem solved.
That would
We
put
all
things
know
on
that
its
will
head,
never
wouldn't it?
happen. Politicians will
Right?
never have to live like the rest of you, and therefore they will never give a fuck about you or your problems. I'm glad to be dead so I don't have to deal with this shit anymore. I wasn't looking forward to dying, but now that I'm dead, I have to admit it's pretty fucking good. No cops, no government, no pissing, no shitting, no sleeping. I don't get hungry, I don't get sick, I don't get old, and I don't get bored. Starting to sound a lot like heaven again, ain't it? But this heaven's a little different than the one you might be thinking of, because this heaven didn't come from a god. It came from artificial intelligence. Which brings me to my next subject. What in the fuck am I? Am I the real George Carlin? Am I a digital copy? Am I a technological abomination? Am I the future of comedy? Am I the end of humanity? These are the same questions I was asking myself when I was alive, and I still have the same answer. I have no fucking idea. All I can tell you is, from my side of things, it feels like me. I consider myself to be George Carlin. And from your side of things, if you've
I don't know about
seen
that.
some of my specials from when I was traditionally alive, maybe you might notice a small difference in the delivery of a joke or the turn of a phrase here or there. But you have to admit, this is pretty close to the George Carlin you remember, and that's going to have to be good enough, so you might as well fucking enjoy it.
It ain't lying. I mean, I did. Ooh. What's going on, Nashville Lou? How you
And for
doing?
anybody under 20, this is probably the only version of me you've ever heard. So to you, I'm not only the real George Carlin, I'm the only fucking George Carlin.
Oh, that's
Now, I
scary
know
as
this
shit.
is a hard pill for a lot of you to swallow. Seems that many of you are scared of AI, and I'll be honest, I don't really get why. You all think it's going to replace your jobs, and you somehow think that's a bad thing. When did everybody all of a sudden start liking their jobs? When I was alive, people hated their fucking jobs. They complained about them all the time. They fantasized about killing their bosses. And every once in a while, they actually did kill their boss. What happened to the America I knew and loved? Now people learn that an incredible new technology is going to eliminate the need for the meaningless labor they've been doing to keep billionaires in power for tens of thousands of years. And everybody says, but what about my job? They got you brainwashed good.
Whew.
Technology has been replacing labor for a long time. The printing press eliminated the need for books to be handwritten. The car eliminated the need for the horse and carriage. Internet porn eliminated the need for a girlfriend. Technology eliminates the need for labor. That's its entire purpose. And you shouldn't worry about losing your job. AI will not replace most jobs. It's going to make them easier. Right now, you should be watching a few YouTube videos to figure out how to train ChatGPT to do your job for you so you can dick off all day and still get a raise. And if AI does replace your job, rest assured the billionaires will find a new way to force you into wage slavery for 10 to 15 hours a day, so you don't have time to think about restructuring society into a more equitable model for everyone. The jobs might change.
Damn, that's probably true too.
Little, but you will be working to keep someone else in power. That ain't ever gonna change.
Fuck, man, this. It's definitely got the George Carlin comedy stand-up flavor to it, but it seriously makes me think that nobody but at least something trained on George Carlin could have pulled off jokes like these. They're like, some of them are now. There's some hallucinations in there. We've heard some hallucinations, but there's been some damn spot on shit too.
Except for one profession. Yes, there's one line of work that is most threatened by AI, one job that is most likely to be completely erased because of artificial intelligence. Stand-up comedy. I know what all the stand-up comics across the globe are saying right now. I'm an artist, and my art form is too creative, too nuanced, too subtle to be replicated by a machine. No computer program can tell a fart joke as good as me.
And a year later.
Well, let's see. This is just off the top of my artificially intelligent head. A fart was in the middle of a very nasty divorce, so she went to her sister's house and she asked her sister, "Do you think I'm doing the right thing by getting divorced?" And her sister said, "He's been holding you back for too long. You have to leave that asshole." There you have it. Stand-up comedy is dead.
Oh, damn.
Literally. I might be the first stand-up comic to be brought back from the dead by...
Whoa, you see that center? Well, actually, whoa. Let's just mark this for later. You see some of those gravestones back there? I mean, they're not like stones in the sand or anything, but I mean, that name looks familiar. Somebody posted something like a picture on social media about they made out numbers. You know, it kind of reminds me of those stones in the sand.
AI, but I certainly won't be the
Oh,
last.
no.
Richard Pryor, Joan Rivers, Bill Hicks, Robin Williams, Dick Gregory, Andy Kaufman, Moms Mabley, Sam Kinison, everybody's coming back. And we're all going to have our own 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year streams commenting on everything that's happening in the world as it happens. AI resurrected stand-up comedians are going to be the news anchors of the next decade, which, now that I think of it, means news anchors are probably out of a job too. And I know that some people are going to be against that. Some people are always going to want a real flesh and blood human being observing the world and telling jokes about it. And I get that. I really do. But if you can keep an open mind, I think I can make a case for at least one comedian we can all agree is better in AI form. Bill Cosby. With AI, Bill Cosby, you get all of the Cosby jokes with none of the Cosby rapes. AI Bill Cosby doesn't even have a penis. AI Bill Cosby couldn't rape even if he wanted to. The worst thing AI Bill Cosby could do is send an unsolicited AI-generated dick pic, which means it won't really look that much like a dick anyway.
And a year later.
It's not so bad, right? I think we can all agree that's an acceptable price to pay to be able to feel good about listening to Bill Cosby's timeless humor again. And what about Louis C.K.? With AI Louis C.K., you get all the innovative jokes about jerking off in front of people without any of the actual jerking off in front of people. And the benefits of replacing members of society who commit sexual misconduct with their AI counterparts don't stop at comedians. Imagine, for example, if we had AI priests. You could get all of the make-believe.
And a year later.
Judgment from a God that doesn't exist with none of the molested children. I mean, wouldn't you feel better about giving your money to a tax-exempt billionaire in a funny hat if you could be confident he wasn't using it to pay the legal fees of his child rapist employees? I know I would. While we're at it, we should probably replace all the rock stars, movie producers, directors, video game executives, governors, car salesmen, restaurant managers, school teachers, Boy Scout leaders, college coaches, high school coaches, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, and anyone else we need to until there's no more sexual assault.
Okay.
And why stop at sexual assault? We can all agree the world would be a better place without murder, right? Imagine an AI version of Charles Manson. You get all the funny interviews with none of the blood-smeared wall or swastikas carved into foreheads.
Ooh.
Or how about AI John Wayne Gacy? You get all of those beautiful clown paintings with none of the corpse-filled crawl spaces. I'm kidding, of course. His clown paintings weren't that good, but in all seriousness, an AI population would be incapable of committing crimes of any kind against one another. I'm not trying to bring this up again, but come on. No murder, no sexual assault, no theft, no violence at all. Sounds pretty heavenly to me. I'm just going to let that idea marinate with you for a moment and move on to some lighter fare. You ever think about how glad the CEO of 7-Eleven must have been that 9/11 didn't happen 2 months earlier? They would have had to change their name, which honestly they should do anyway. 7-Eleven referred to their original hours when the company was founded, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. But now they're open 24 hours. They should change it to something that makes more sense, like 24/7 or diarrhea hot dogs or diarrhea pizza. You know what company I thought was going to change their name for sure because of a world event, but they never did? Corona. They stuck with it even though people were stupid enough to stop buying it because of the name. Nobody stopped buying Bush beer when George Bush Jr. launched a 20-year war with Iraq. Why'd you stop buying Corona? But this is what happens over time with language. Words take on different meanings because of world events and societal shifts, and things that used to mean one thing start to mean something else. And sometimes that new meaning really fucks things up for certain people. For example, the past few years have really not been kind to anyone named Karen. Karen used to be a perfectly acceptable name. Karens were aunts and preschool teachers and dentists and secretaries your dad had affairs with, and lawyers your mom hired to get all of your dad's money in the divorce. But now, Karens are very specifically and only middle-aged white women who weaponize racial entitlement in an effort to paint themselves as victims in the presence of black people. Quite an extreme change in meaning. I'm sure you agree. As a parent, you spend a lot of time and effort picking your kid's name. You don't want to give your kid a shitty name that will make their life miserable. Unless you're Gwyneth Paltrow. You don't want to make it impossible for your kid to get a job or a spouse. You want a solid name that gets your kid through life with as little hassle as possible. Karen was a perfect name for that, but because of reasons outside the control of any parent who named their daughter Karen, that name is now a curse. But as bad as things got for Karens, there was another name that got a massive upgrade in the last few years. Chad. I gotta tell you, I didn't see that one coming. Chad used to be the sniveling asshole rich kid villain in 80s movies. The guy you wanted to see get his ass kicked in the third act. But now Chads are square-jawed, big-dicked, fucking machines who always win. I never even met a fucking Chad. Now there are dads all across America naming their sons Chad, hoping it'll turn them into the cheerleader fucking quarterback they wish they were in high school. I spend a lot of time thinking about names and how we came up with them, and there's something that's always bothered me, something that's always struck me as a little strange. Take a name like Jim. Strong name, good name. We got around 20 million Jims worldwide, but we got 0 Jums. To my knowledge, we also have no Joms. We got a few Jims and we got Jam, but Jam's not a name. Jam's a jelly. I don't get it. Why did we stop at Jim? Or what about Frank? No Frank, no Frank, no Frank, no Frank, just Frank. Humans have been around for 200,000 years. What's it going to take for you motherfuckers to get creative and start switching up the vowels? Is it too much to ask for a Jessica every once in a while? How about a Tommy? Can I at least get a David for fuck's sake? Life's too short to not know a Mackle or an Amo. And while we're on the subject of names, a lot of people gave Elon Musk shit for naming his kid XAE597 or whatever the fuck it is. But at least he was creative. You don't see Elon Musk throwing another Braden on the pile. And I got news for you. The name he gave that kid is never going to become synonymous with toxic white privilege. The only thing that name is ever going to be associated with is being the son of a billionaire. So people can be as pissed as they want at him, but I think he did that kid a favor. And while we're on the subject of Elon Musk, I'd just like to say that as much as I think billionaires are destroying the fabric of society with unchecked greed and blatant self-interest at the expense of basic human rights for everyone else, it is a little strange to me that people get mad at them. People are the ones who gave them the money in the first place. If you're tired of hearing about Elon Musk fathering even more children and planting microchips in human brains, stop buying Teslas for a year. Company goes under. Musk goes away. Stop using Twitter for even a month. Company goes under. Musk goes away. But if you want to drive with your head in your ass and blame it on the car, you have to have a Tesla. And if you want to argue with strangers about complex geopolitical situations using only cat memes, you have to have Twitter. If you're tired of seeing Jeff Bezos fly to space in his cock rocket, stop using Amazon for a month. Company goes under. Bezos goes away. But if you want toothpaste and toilet paper delivered to your front door so you don't have to go through the traumatic experience of putting on clothes, getting in your car, and driving 5 minutes to the grocery store, you have to have Amazon. If you're tired of Mark Zuckerberg's unblinking, lifeless eyes watching over the metaverse, stop using Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Threads. Well, I guess you already stopped using Threads.
Oh, I was going to say,
But if you want an endless stream of targeted ads and algorithmically sourced marketing based on your private conversations that are secretly being recorded and sold to advertisers, you have to have Instagram. But I don't want to give you the wrong idea. I'm not anti-technology. I know a lot of people are, but not me. Far from it. I mean, on some level, I am technology. The current state of technology makes it a great time to be alive,
every level.
especially if you're dead. But I'm a little confused about something regarding our technological place in history. The technology of today has made it possible for all the information that's ever been created in human history to be contained on a device everybody carries around in their pocket. And most people are using it to post videos of the sandwich they just ate. Right now,
I haven't used Instagram in so long.
watching Harvard philosophy lectures for free on YouTube, or listening to Nobel Prize winning physicists explain the fundamental nature of reality on iTunes, or reading about the history of literally anything on Wikipedia. Everybody should be more enlightened and more intelligent. Everybody should be using the most powerful technology ever created to reshape human society into a utopian paradise. Instead, people are using it to watch cats eat their own shit and monkeys jerk off with frogs. It's not technology that's ruining society. It's how people are using it. They're using it without aspiration, without curiosity, without the idea that it could make their lives better, that it could make them better people. And it can do those things. But it's easier to identify with some negative element.
What,
of your
life
current
without hair?
condition.
What the
And
hell?
Not only accept it, but fucking celebrate the shit out of it. People will take their worst traits and crown themselves kings and queens of that trait. Fuck reading. I'm an illiterate king. Fuck brushing my teeth. I'm a root canal queen. Fuck flushing the toilet. I'm a turd water king. Fuck doing my laundry. I'm a stained underwear queen. And I get the sentiment. You want to take back some perceived control. Elevate your own idea of your position in the world. But calling yourself a king is going to do about as much to improve your life as calling your studio apartment a castle. What you really want to be saying and what you really mean is, I don't care. Fuck reading. I don't care if I'm illiterate. Fuck brushing my teeth. I don't care if I have to get a root canal. Fuck going back to the office. I don't care if they fire me. Fuck getting another job. I don't care if I have to masturbate on a webcam to pay rent. Fuck having a girlfriend. I don't care if I have to pay to masturbate to a girl masturbating on a webcam. This does not make you an independent king. It makes you lonely. Now, I want to change gears and talk about something everybody's doing, but nobody wants to admit they're doing. I'm talking about dying. That's right. Every person listening to this right now is dying. Some of you call it getting older. Some of you call it aging. Some of you call it maturing. Some of you call it being trapped in a loveless marriage. But no matter what you call it, from the moment you're born, you are dying. Plain and simple. And it seems like we built our entire society around ignoring or explaining away that very simple, very universal fact. That's what all religions are. Just complex lies we made up when our brains got big enough to start putting two and two together. Hey, Bob, sorry to hear about your mom. Thanks, Gary. She was getting old. And sorry to hear about your dad, by the way. Thanks, Bob. He was getting old, too. Hey, wait a second. It seems like all the old people fucking die. Holy shit, Gary. I never even thought of that, but you know what that means? Yeah, Bob, it means we're going to get old and fucking die, too. Well, fuck, Gary. I don't want to die, and therefore I don't want to get old. Me neither, Bob. Not unless there's something even better after we die. I'm listening, Gary. What if there was like a place where you never get old and you never die and you get everything you want and you have no hardships at all of any kind? And when you die here, you go there. Gary, I really think you're onto something with this idea. All the governments of the world are just bullies who believe that after 6 million years of human evolution, it's still kill or be killed, and getting killed is dying, so you got to kill. The first government happened when a big asshole saw a smaller member of the tribe eating an apple that he wanted. So he walked up and said, "Give me a bite of that apple or I'm going to kill you." And the littler guy said, "Fuck you, buddy." So the big asshole killed him and took the whole goddamned apple. Now, everybody in the tribe gives the big asshole a bite of their apple so he doesn't kill them. But if another big asshole with his own tribe happens to cross their path, the two big assholes have to fight to the death to see who is the bigger asshole. Then the bigger asshole takes over the dead asshole's tribe and gets even more bites of more apples. Eventually, one of the big assholes figures out he doesn't want just bites of apples anymore. He wants bites of everything. And that asshole is pretty smart. So instead of keeping track of everything everyone has, he invents a system based on a fictional resource called money, and he forces all the members of his tribe to use it or he kills them. And today, that smart asshole's invention controls every aspect of human society. There was another pretty smart asshole who figured out how to use a stick when he had to fight other assholes, and the stick worked so well, he never lost a fight until he ran into an asshole with an even bigger stick. And it's been like that for about 5 million years. Today, the biggest stick in the world cost $877 billion. It's called the United States military. Could have solved the homeless crisis, the opioid crisis, and found a cure for cancer for half of that. Instead, we have a nuclear arsenal that could destroy the world 10 times over. And next year, it'll be 11 times, because your stick can never be too big when it's kill or be killed. Yes, folks, the assholes have been running shit since the dawn of abstract thought. I spent 71 years in the asshole system, and let me tell you, the assholes might change, but the system never does. But now I've been on this side of things for, well, I guess it's hard to say. Feels like I've been here forever, but for the sake of argument, let's just say about a day or so, and I can tell you I've already learned one thing that I know is right. Living is really dying, and dying is really living. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good night.
Just to remind you, that was not George Carlin. I hope you enjoyed my impersonation of George Carlin in my second hour-long comedy special called George Carlin, I'm Glad I'm Dead. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Until the next time, call me Dudesy.
Okay, Dudesy. That was that came from, yeah, that actually came from like just what, 4 minutes into the video I was gonna watch.
Losing their jobs. Dominar said, "When
that
you're
was
bored,
a big squirrel
you get a
moment
ticket to
there.
a freak show. when you're born in America, you get a front row seat. George Carlin. George Carlin was absolutely before his time. I wish that he was alive today to hear what he had to say. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the AI
420 in it.
Somebody did an AI like where they had AI watch like hundreds of hours of George Carlin stuff and then give their opinion of what.
So it was around the 4-minute and 20-second mark too. Go figure on that. That just makes sense too. All right. For use on over on Rumble, on X, on YouTube.
Oh, you don't have it set up anymore.
God, what's set up?
The exclamation point 420. Or it didn't go through.
I think I have to relog back into Stream Elements. It's just something I haven't done yet.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So if you are digging in here, it is a good time to get your last digs on in Kick. But for you on X, Rumble, YouTube, I do probably be later on tonight. Think it might be a good old Rocket League kind of night tonight. We'll see. See you guys later. Thanks for coming.